Camp now. Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Camp?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I was on a Bomber of the Month tour.
I would have been a bum because compared to you.
Would you be on the tour?
What's happening, my people? It's Cass Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, Terry Akers, salute to everyone and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Box Story. Today, the best boxer from every state in America, part 2. Drunk Irishman. Let me give out a couple of wrenches, My favorite sister-in-law, Terry, and the Drunk Irishman supposed to be in blue, Yeah, y'all been here enough to deserve to be in blue, so let me do that. Terry Akers. That means you are a moderator on this channel, okay? Terry Akers is now a moderator, and the Drunk Irishman will be in blue. Next time y'all comment, y'all be dressed in blue. Okay. Sorry it took so long. What am I doing? Oh, there we go. Well, how's everybody today? It's Wednesday, This is the Hump Day edition of Cast Sports, the Box Story. We're gonna do part two on the best boxer from every state in America today. There you go. Good and blue drunk Irishman. Say hi, Terry. I can see you in blue. But yeah, we're gonna do part two. But for the highlights of boxing history, we're down to the junior flyweight. We came all the way from heavyweight in the top 10 boxers in every division. From heavyweight on down, we only got one more, 105 after this. So today is going to be junior flyweight, 108. Top 10 best at junior flyweight. Very brief, because we got to finish the greatest boxers from every state off today. So highlights of boxing history. Now, there's two top 10 junior flyweights, Michael Carbajal and Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. Yeah, definitely top 10 flyweights right there. Okay. Now, junior flyweight is a division where, we didn't get to see a lot because down in the lower weight classes in the United States, we don't get to see them a lot because they mainly fight Asian, Latinos, Asians, and a lot of them fights happen over there in the East, so we don't get to see a lot of that division. But there's some great fighters. Well, hello again, Terry. Some great fighters down there in those weight classes. So let's take a quick look at the top 10. Okay, number one is Wong Koo Chang. It's Jung Koo Chang. Jung Koo Chang. It's going to be very brief. Okay. Put Jung Koo up there. There's Jung Koo. Now, South Korean former pro boxer, competed from 1980 to 1991, 11-year career. He had the WBC junior flyweight title for 5 years, 1983 to 1988. And he compiled a record of 38 wins, 4 losses, 17 knockouts in his career. Only had 1 loss, and then he had financial problems and came back to the sport. That's when he got his 3 losses. But when he originally retired, only had 1 loss. Okay. Number 2 is Michael Carbajal. We talked about him yesterday. He was the best boxer to ever come from Arizona, remember? Michael Carbajal, number 2. Okay. Michael Carbajal is American former professional boxer, right? 5-time world boxing champion and a resident of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Nicknamed Little Hands of Stone after his idol, Roberto Duran. Carbajal is considered a Phoenix boxing icon. He won Phoenix, Arizona boxing icon. He won a Pan Am Games medal in 1987 and an Olympic silver medal in Seoul in 1988, part of that great team. Roy Jones, Riddick Bowe, yeah, that was a good one, 88. Carbajal won a silver medal in that Olympics. As an amateur, his record was 94 wins and 9 losses. And he defended the IBF and WBC World Junior Flyweight titles twice. Michael Carbajal. Okay, number 3, junior flyweight is Chiquita. Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. Yeah, him and Carbajal for the trilogy. I think Carbajal won the first one. Chiquita won the second 2. There's Chiquita right there. Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. He's a Mexican former pro boxer, pro boxing champion. He held the WBC, junior flyweight title 3 times in the IBF and lineal junior flyweight titles, nicknamed Chiquita. Okay. And Carbajal finished his career with 49 wins, 4 losses, 33 knockouts. I forgot to tell you that. Chiquita finished at 43 wins, 3 losses, 30 knockouts. Humberto Gonzalez. Number 4, Ya My Young Woo. Ya My Young Woo. Number 4. Greatest junior flyweights of all time, 108 pounders. Okay. Of course, he's a South Korean former pro boxer. Okay. Competed between 1982 and 1993. 2-time WBA junior flyweight champion. He had the title between 1985 and 1993. Then he avenged his one loss versus Hiroki Ioka. He defeated every boxer he ever faced, including future boxing Hall of Famers. Okay. His record, only one loss during his career, 38 wins, 1 loss, 14 knockouts. Hilario Zapata is number 5. Hilario Zapata. Number 5 all-time greatest super flyweights. Junior flyweights. Mike Mazik in the building. What's up, Mike? Taking a quick look at the top 10 junior flyweights of all time. Then we're going to do minimum weight 105 tomorrow. Then we're going back to heavyweight. We're going to look at the top 10 active fighters for every division starting Friday. Top 10 active fighters for every division. Okay? But your Hilario Zapata is comes in at number 5. 108. Panamanian former pro boxer. Competed from 1977 to 1993. Zapata was a world champion in 2 weight classes. Had the WBC junior flyweight title twice between 1980 and 1983, and the WBA flyweight title from 85 to 87. Hilario Zapata, 6th greatest junior flyweight of all time. 43 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw, 14 knockouts. Number 6, Yoko Gushigan. Yoko Gushigan. There's Yoko Gushigan. Yoko is a former Japanese pro boxer. Competed from 1974 to 1981. Yoko had the WBA junior flyweight title from 76 to 81, making a total of 13 successful defenses. Okay? And following his retirement from boxing, he remains popular in Japan. Okay? Still a very popular figure over there in his home country of Japan. Thomas Hill in the building. What's up, T. Hill? This show is brought to you by Thomas Hill. Thomas Hill Promotion. Greatest boxer from every state. And salute Al Booger. How are you today? Good to see you. AB, my channel member right there. Okay. Yoko Gushigan. We're at number, winding down on the top 10 flyweights. Jacob Metlala. Baby Jake or Little Hagler. Okay, that was his name too, Little Hagler. There he is. Baby Jake. Baby Hagler. Yeah. He's number 7. All-time flyweights. Bad man. South African former boxer. Define Arnie won. All my people coming in. See, I could get up like 14, 16 if I could get all y'all to hit at the same time. But salute. Define Arnie won. Good to see you today. Part 2 of the greatest boxer from every state. Trying to work our way through these junior flyweights. Baby Jake, little Hagler on the screen there. Number 7. Now, he was a South African boxer, world champion in 2 weight classes. He had the WBO flyweight title from 93 to 95 and the WBO junior flyweight title from 95 to 97. So he came down. He was at 112. He came down to 108 and won a title. In 2004, McLaren was voted number 72 in the 100 greatest South Africans. That boxers, that's 100 greatest South Africans, period. Number 72 out of 100. Very popular guy over there in South Africa, Jacob Matlala. Okay, number 8. Jacob was I didn't get you Yoko Gushigan. He had 23 wins and 1 loss, 15 knockouts, only 1 loss for Yoko. Jacob Matlala won 53 fights, lost 13, 2 draws, 26 knockouts. Jorge Arce is number 8. Top 10 junior flyweights of all time. Jorge Arce. His name rhymes. Jorge Arce. Hey, Jorge Arce. Mexican former pro boxer. There's Jorge. Real name, Jorge Armando Arce Armenta, known in the ring as Jorge Arce, right? Competed from 1996 to 2014. Had a long career, 18 years. He's a multiple-time world champion and the second boxer from Mexico to win world titles in 4 weight divisions. He was number 2. Yeah, Jorge Arce. Remember him? I remember Jorge. Bad man. I know T.O. remember Jorge. Bad man, 18-year career, longevity. And Jorge finished his career with, you read Jorge? 64 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws. Okay, 74 fights. 75, 1 no contest. 49 knockouts. Yeah. 8, 72, 74, 75 fights for Jorge. At number 9, Saman Sor Jachiram. Yeah. Saman Sor Jachiram. There he is. Thai pro boxer. Okay. From Thailand. And he let's see. Former world boxing champion. Okay. He had the WBC, IBF, and lineal junior flyweight titles during his career. Won 46 fights, lost 8, 1 draw, 34 knockouts. And finally, number 10, Luis Estaba. To round out the top 10 junior flyweights of all time. Luis Estaba, Venezuelan pro boxer. Luis was. And Luis, he was the second ever junior flyweight champion in 1985. One of the second ever when the division was formed. Second ever junior flyweight champion, okay? And he held that title for 5 consecutive defenses. Okay, 41 wins, 9 losses, 2 draws, 27 knockouts. All right, so now let's finish up the best boxer from every state. Okay, how's everybody? It's hump day today, on the way downhill to the weekend. It's coming up fast. We left off at Mississippi, right? Mississippi. There's Luis Estaba right there. Left off at Mississippi. Just saw Saman Sor Jachiram. I didn't even change the last 2. Luis Estaba. 10 greatest boxers. Greatest boxers from every state. We left off at Mississippi, which is Homicide Hank. Homicide Henry Armstrong. Okay. He edged out Archie because Archie Moore's from Mississippi too. Homicide Hank is top 3 next to Sugar Ray and Muhammad Ali. So sorry, old Mongoose. Didn't make it. What y'all pick from Mississippi? Henry Armstrong or Archie Moore? It's the best out of Mississippi. I went with Henry. But you couldn't go wrong with either one of them. Both great International Boxing Hall of Fame residents, right? But let's get started. Homicide Hank, greatest boxer from Mississippi. From Columbus, Mississippi. Okay, Columbus. And Homicide Hank had 181 fights in his career. He won 151, lost 21, had 9 draws, and in the 100 knockout club, 101 knockouts. Yep. In the club. Very elite club. 100 knockout club. Okay. Now, although Henry Armstrong came of age in Missouri, the criteria is selecting the fighters based on birthplace. So this means, like I said, he edged out light heavyweight legend Archie Moore, because Archie is from Mississippi too, right? Now, one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time, Armstrong holds a unique, unmatched distinction of simultaneously holding 3 undisputed championships when there were only 8 weight classes, right? A feat he accomplished in 1938, haven't been repeated before or since. I mean, was never done before and never repeated since. Okay? He missed 4. He went up to middleweight and they called it a draw, and people say he was robbed. So he should have been champion in half of the 8 weight classes at one time. Wow. A member of the vaunted 100 Knockout Club, Homicide Hank was one of boxing's most dynamic pressure fighters. Yeah, he was, Aaron Pryor is the reincarnation of Henry Armstrong. Imagine them two in their prime fighting each other. Wow, you had to need like 5 or 6 eyes to keep track of that fight. That would be crazy. He was a whirlwind of hooks and uppercuts who would chop and saw overwhelmed opponents into submission. A champion at featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight, Armstrong left his most indelible mark at 147 pounds. His reign beginning in 1938 when he sent legend Barney Ross into retirement. Now, Armstrong would defend the World Welterweight Championship 19 times, and that's the record. Now listen closely to this. This is crazy. Now, it's frankly impossible to do Armstrong's career a modicum of justice in such limited space. But listen to this. Just consider some of these inimitable numbers, okay? A record of 59 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 51 knockouts between December 1936 and October 1940. Listen to this. 5 welterweight title defenses in a 21-day span. 3 weeks. 5 welterweight defenses. That was in October 1939. Not only 5 defenses in 1 month, but 5 in 3 weeks of that month. Okay? Read that again. 5 welterweight title defenses in a 21-day span. Okay? They don't even fight 5 times in 2 years nowadays. This man had 5 defenses in 3 weeks. They must have all been in the same place. Wow. He beat 16 world champions. Now, numbers don't reveal all, but with Henry Armstrong, they provide compelling and unimpeachable evidence that has kept him firmly planted as one of the top 3 best fighters to ever step into a boxing ring. No doubt. Homicide Hank. They can't get over that. 5 title defenses in 3 weeks. Ain't that crazy to find, Arnie? Wow. 3 weeks. I thought it was going to say 3, and I seen 3 months. No, 3 weeks. Okay, next is Missouri, the greatest fighter out of Missouri. Michael the Jake Spinks. That Spinks Jakes. Wasn't nothing special about the Spinks Jakes. It was just a really good straight right hand. Yeah. That's him and Larry Holmes there. Michael is from St. Louis, Missouri. Michael had 32 fights in his career. Would have had more if he hadn't suffered that 91-second knockout to Mike Tyson. He gave it up after that. 31-1, 21 knockouts. Now he wins that fight. He doesn't retire, but he made it. That was a Mike Tyson payday, and the way he got beat, Mike said that's enough. Brothers Michael and Leon Spinks both captured gold medals at the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, Canada, as members of arguably the greatest ever United States boxing team. But while Leon would enjoy a meteoric rise, though it was fleeting, to heavyweight stardom, it was Michael who would go on to have a Hall of Fame pro career as a two-division champion, forging a legacy as one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. Yeah, he's up there, top 5 for sure. Now, Spinks became the class of a compelling era of 175 pounders. Yeah, I call the 80s the greatest decade of all for light heavyweights. He had wins over Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, the White Muhammad Qawi, and Eddie Davis. And then they had Marvin Johnson, Yaki Lopez, all of them was in the 80s. And those wins earned him the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles. And that was undisputed at that time. Didn't have a WBO. Spinks remained undefeated as a light heavyweight, never lost in the division. And his overall record in world title fights was 14 wins, 1 loss, with 9 knockouts, only loss coming to Mike Tyson. With a mark of 7 wins, 1 loss, 2 knockouts against other world champions during his career. While his vaunted right hand, the Spinks Jinx, was his calling card, Spinks also possessed exceptional boxing skills overall, right? Now, unfortunately, Spinks is best remembered for that 91-second knockout by Mike Tyson, right? And that was a rapidly anticipated heavyweight unification fight, which proved to be Spinks' final fight. But what's far more significant is that when Spinks moved up to heavyweight and beat Holmes, he became the first reigning light heavyweight champion to win the heavyweight title, okay? That was a feat even the great Archie Moore could not accomplish, although he tried, but Archie lost, right? I think Archie fought Rocky, right? Rocky Marciano. Archie lost. Now, although his 2 fights with Spinks' 2 fights with Larry Holmes were razor close decisions, Spinks etched his name in boxing history, all while further cementing his standing amongst light heavyweight legends. Michael Spinks, greatest fighter out of Missouri. Montana, Marvin Camel. He was the first ever cruiserweight champion, Marvin Camel, back in the 70s, for 2 different divisions, WBA and WBC. It might be one, IBF might be one of them, but yeah, he was the first ever cruiserweight champion in 2 different divisions, Marvin Camel was. And he's the best fighter to ever come out of Montana, from Ronan, Montana. Ronan, R-O-N-A-N, Ronan, Montana. Now, he had 62 fights in his career, won 45, lost 13, 4 draws, 21 knockouts for Marvin Camel. A member of the Confederated Salish and Kiltonadu tribes, Cotenye tribes of the Flathead Indian Reservation, Marvin Camel presented the state of Montana with pride and distinction, making cruiserweight history along the way. In fact, Camel was the first fighter to win both the WBC and IBF 200-pound titles. Yeah, WBC and IBF. I thought IBF was one of them. He's the first one to win the WBC and IBF cruiserweight titles in the newly created division, right? Technically making him the first ever world champion in one of boxing's sadly overlooked weight classes. Yeah, cruiserweight is still kind of overlooked. Yeah. Even today. because back then it was just a pit stop between light heavyweight and light heavyweight and heavyweight. Instead of just jumping from light heavyweight to heavyweight like they used to do, they make a pit stop at cruiserweight. So you have carrying a few more pounds still in the ring before you jumped up to heavyweight. Still kind of that. Apataya talked about going to heavyweight. But anyway, Camel initially fought Mate Parlow in a draw for the WBC title in 1979, but he would win an immediate rematch the following year. However, Carlos de Leon would upend Camel in his first defense and would also stop him in a 1982 rematch. Undaunted, Camel worked his way back into contention and used winning the USBA regional title as a springboard to fighting for the newly sanctioned IBF strap. Camel defeated Roddy McDonald in Halifax, Nova Scotia by stoppage to become a two-time champion and the first IBF cruiserweight champion. First champion in two different sanctioning bodies. Now, earlier in his career, Camel split a pair of fights against Mahdousan Muhammad, and he ended his run as a pro as a well-traveled, universally respected fighter. Camel would often wear an eagle feather headdress in honor of his heritage, and in 2006, at the WBC convention, he was awarded honorary champion status. Marvin Camel, best fighter to come out of Montana. Okay? Nebraska. Yeah, I know I said no active fighters but eligible, but I figured Terrence Crawford has done enough to be the greatest fighter to come out of Nebraska. So Bud. Bud is the only active fighter on the list. He's done enough. Right? What y'all think? Could have been Max Baer, but nah. They gave it to Bud. Terrence Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska. Currently 41 wins, no losses, 31 knockouts. That's like 76% knockout ratio. Now, Crawford has held multiple world championships in 4 weight classes, from lightweight to junior middleweight, including undisputed championships at junior welterweight and welterweight, right? Now, Crawford was the first male boxer in history to become the undisputed champion in 2 weight classes in the 4-belt era. The GOAT was the first one overall, female. And Crawford is only one of 5 boxers to accomplish this feat. Undisputed in 2 different weight classes, 4-belt, only one of 5. The GOAT, Bud, Katie Taylor, Monster, Usyk. Okay. Now, Crawford is currently the WBA and WBO junior middleweight champion. He won his first world title in 2014 when he traveled overseas and defeated Ricky Burns for the WBO lightweight title. After 2 successful defenses, he moved up to junior welterweight in 2015. Now, Crawford had a short reign as the undisputed champion at 140 before vacating the title and moved up to 147. In 2023, he defeated Earl Spence Jr. to become undisputed at welterweight. He defeated Israel Madrimov at junior middleweight to become a 4-division champion and, to get the current titles that he currently holds. Now, Crawford was named Fighter of the Year by the Boxing Writers Association of America in 2014 and by ESPN in 2014 and 2017. As of June 2025, Crawford is ranked in the top 3 pound for pound by most boxing publications and organizations, and number 1 in many of them. Crawford's next scheduled outing is a massive fight against Canelo Alvarez in September. Greatest boxer out of Nebraska, Terrence Bud Crawford. Okay, he's done enough. I know I said active fighters wasn't eligible, but Bud got 1 foot in retirement. After he make that Canelo go up there and get beat and make that Canelo payday, Bud is out of there. He's out of there. Okay? Yeah, he getting beat, you find Arnie. You find Arnie 1, don't think so. You find Arnie 1 is Bud all the way. Okay. After Nebraska, we have New Jersey. And remember, we're going by birthplace. Like Marvin Hagler was in Massachusetts when his career played out, but he was born in New Jersey. So we're going to see a few strange ones. Yeah, Hagler gets it for greatest boxer out of New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey, Marvin Hagler. 67 fight pro career, 62 wins, just 3 losses, 2 draws, 52 knockouts for the marvelous one. And that was a 83.8% career knockout ratio. Career, 83.8. That ain't bad. Okay. Now, despite ending his storied career as one of the greatest middleweights and fighters, period, ever, marvelous Marvin Hagler had to earn things the hard way. Okay. He did not turn pro with fanfare or the momentum of an Olympic appearance. And he had to grind through 49 fights against top contenders to finally earn a middleweight title shot, which frustratingly resulted in a controversial draw against WBA, WBC champion Vito Antuofermo. Yeah, 49 fights that made him wait, and then he won the fight and they called it a draw. Still didn't give him his title. Yeah, Marvin went through hell, man, but he eventually got it. Now Hagler would rebound and win the unified titles in September of 1980, after which he would embark on a historic reign at 160 pounds. Revenge against Antuofermo would come in 1981, but Hagler is best known for his association with boxing's Four Kings. Hagler would defeat lightweight legend Roberto Duran by unanimous decision in 1983, and his 3-round stoppage of Thomas Hearns in what is simply known as the War is unanimously viewed as an all-time thriller. 9 minutes of impossibly brutal action. Yeah, every boxing fan should have watched those 3 rounds. Hagler's final fight, a defeat to Sugar Ray Leonard, that is still discussed and debated to this day, right, was a fascinating contest that saw Leonard come out of retirement to challenge the seemingly invincible middleweight champion. Now, although Hagler vehemently disputed the verdict, his legacy, which includes a 13-win, 1-loss, 1-draw, 12 knockout record in title fights, was already secured before the Sugar Ray fight, and he enjoyed a luxurious retirement in Italy, and he even starred in some action movies. Yep, just before he passed away, enjoyed his retirement and he became an actor. Was not interested in the rematch. He was at first, but then Leonard made him wait 3 years. Then he wanted Hagler to come back. After Hagler had been idle for 3 years, Leonard had been fighting. Leonard had like 3 fights after Hagler. I know he had 3. He had Hearns 2, Duran 2, and Donnie Lalonde. And then he tried to get Hagler to come back. Hagler hadn't fought in 3 years. So Hagler said, no, I'm happy. And I don't blame him. Yeah. Okay. New Mexico is next. Johnny Tapia is our representative for the greatest fighter from New Mexico. Here's Johnny Tapia from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, Johnny had 66 fights in his career. He won 59, 5 losses, 2 draws, 30 by the knockout route. For Johnny. Everybody hit the appreciation button too. Please. I appreciate it. That's the like button. Right. Now, first of all, the great Bob Foster was actually born in Texas. Now, you know, Foster's career was played out in Albuquerque, but we going by birth. And Foster, if he was born in New Mexico, it might well be Foster, but he was born in Texas. Now, a 3-weight, 5-time world champion, Johnny Tapia, the tattooed back-flipping dynamo from Albuquerque, was a dominant fighter in boxing's lower weight classes in the 1990s, all while battling a substance abuse and mental health issues. that would have completely derailed a less resilient individual. Yet all these things were going on during his career: substance abuse, mental health. Those two a lot of times go hand in hand: mental health, substance abuse. You have one turn to the other either way. Substance abuse and develop mental health, or have mental health and turn to substance abuse. But it's both serious problems, Now, in fact, Tapia's career, just as it appeared to be flourishing, was nearly cut short when in 1990 he tested positive for cocaine following a fight and was suspended indefinitely, leading to a 3.5-year exile, just as a world title shot seemed within his grasp. Tapia, though, would rebound and stop Henry Martinez in 1994 to win the WBO junior bantamweight title, which he would hold for a remarkable 4 years and 13 defenses. During this reign, Tapia would score a defining victory, a unanimous decision over fellow Albuquerque native Danny Romero, to unify the WBO and the IBF title. Shortly after, Tapia would move up to bantamweight and claim the WBA title, only to lose it in his first defense against Paulie Ayala, who later beat Tapia in a non-title rematch. Tapia claimed a couple more belts and would also lose a marquee fight against Marco Antonio Barrera. But his remarkable resume, 17 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 6 knockouts in world title fights, and 11 wins, 3 losses, 2 knockouts against other world champions, and especially his win over Romero, made him the standard bearer for New Mexico boxing. Sadly, Tapia succumbed to heart failure, precipitated by the onset of hepatitis C at age 45. A tragic end to both a troubled and triumphant life. Johnny Tapia, greatest fighter to ever come out of New Mexico. New York. A lot of people say I'm biased when it comes to these old school guys, but maybe I am. I don't know. But New York is Benny Leonard. Bear with me. I can't find Benny. He should be right after Johnny Tapia. Okay. I'm sorry. I lost my place. Come on, Johnny Tapia. Where are you? Okay, yeah. Benny Leonard for New York. Maybe I am biased with these old school, because I'm old. I ain't this old, but I'm old. Yeah, but New York is Benny Leonard. The greatest fighter out of New York, Benny Leonard. Fine Arnie says, Homicide Hank for me. Oh, I was talking about Homicide and Archie Moore, yeah. Yeah, me too, Define Arnie one. Homicide Hank. But yeah, Benny Leonard from New York City. Okay. He had 96 total fights. He won 89, lost 6, 1 draw, 70 knockouts. And he had over 100 newspaper decisions, but they didn't count in the official record. Newspaper decisions was, when they back then, before they started, because fights didn't end back then. They didn't have round limits. They would go on until one fighter couldn't continue, and sometimes neither fighter could continue, and they wouldn't make a decision. Some newspaper sports writers would print a decision in the newspaper on the fight. They called those newspaper decisions, but they didn't count against the record. He had over 100 newspaper decisions, plus his 95 regular fights. 96 regular fights, and over 100 newspaper decisions added to that. Okay? But officially, 89 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw, 70 knockouts for Benny Leonard, the greatest fighter to come out of New York City. Okay? Now, New York City has arguably the most storied tradition of pugilism of any major American urban center, and competition from the state is fierce when it comes to producing elite boxers of historic significance. And yet, all-time great Benny Leonard, who reigned as world lightweight champion from 1917 to 1925, stands out as the greatest fighter ever to be born in the state, there used to be this spiritual pulse and home of prize fighting in the United States. Yeah, Benny Leonard. Now, straight. Okay. Excuse me for a minute. I can't get my display straight. Come on. Here we go. Now, of Leonard's 6 career non-newspaper decision losses, 3 came within the first year of his career. As such, once Leonard claimed the lightweight throne by knocking out Freddie Welch in a virtuoso performance, he was virtually untouchable. Consider, too, that the Freddie Welch fight was a no-decision 10-rounder, which meant that Leonard could only claim the title if he stopped Welch. Leonard's dynamic victory would indeed serve as a sign of things to come. Amazingly, Leonard never lost his lightweight title, opting for abdication after defeating the likes of Rocky Kansas and Lou Tender on multiple occasions, as well as several other top contenders. Okay? Leonard would lose a couple of marquee forays in the heavier weight classes when he was disqualified against Jack Britton in 1922 in a bid for the world welterweight title, and also at the end of his career in 1932 by Jimmy McLaurin. That said, Leonard's 7-year lightweight championship reign remains a record, and only the incomparable Roberto Duran has been able to supplant Leonard as the best to ever rule the division. In the 1920s, Leonard only failed to match Jack Dempsey in popularity, and they were great friends too. And he was part of the inaugural 1990 induction class of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And amazingly, this is amazing, Benny Leonard did his main work in the 1920s. He ran in the 70s and 80s, right? 60 years apart, almost. They had the same trainer. They had the same trainer, Ray Arcel. And in between 1920 and 1980, Ray Arcel had at least one champion in every decade. Some of them he had multiple. So when you're talking about greatest all-time champions, all-time trainers, I'm sorry, it's got to be Ray Arcel. Got to be Ray Arcel. You got the champions, the longevity, everything, man. That says it right there. Benny Leonard fought in the 20s, Roberto Duran in the 70s and 80s, and they had the man train both of them, the same man, the legendary Ray Arcel. But let's go to North Carolina. We'll do Ray on another day. Okay, North Carolina, like I was saying, we're going by birthplace. So, Sugar Ray Leonard. I know his career, he was living in Maryland when his career played out, but he was born in North Carolina. This list is by birthplace. Shouldn't have been, but it's by birthplace. Sugar Ray Leonard. Born in Wilmington, North Carolina, only lived there until he was 3 years old. Okay, 40 fights total. 36 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 25 knockout for Sugar Ray. Okay? In a sense, Sugar Ray Leonard's remarkable pro career was never supposed to happen, right? After claiming a gold medal at the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, as part of arguably the greatest ever U.S. boxing squad, Leonard had intended to retire and pursue his education at the University of Maryland. But his mother suffered a heart attack, and his father struggled with various ailments, leading Leonard to turn pro to help support his family. What would follow was a resume that led to Leonard being named Fighter of the Decade for the 1980s by the Ring magazine. And added to that too, him and his girlfriend had just had a baby, and when he got home, child support was after him. So Leonard said, "Well, I guess I better turn pro." And the story is, his girlfriend was right over there in Montreal at the Olympics with him, and never told him that she had reported him to the child support agency, and that they were looking for payments from him. He found that out when he got home in the newspapers, right? And that ran his endorsements away. You know, if he would have got those endorsements, he still may not have turned pro, but he didn't get any not right away. But the endorsements came eventually. But from the Olympic gold medal, he didn't get them right away. No, because of that, the child support. It was kind of like a scandal. And he found out in the newspapers when he got home, and she was right there the whole time with him in Montreal and never told him. Wow, that was crazy. But anyway, I'm sorry, I always go off way over there in left field where I'm not supposed to be at. Okay. Now, this is particularly incredible when one recalls that Leonard was forced to retire due to a detached retina in 1982, talking about the fight of the decade situation. In fact, Leonard missed nearly 5 years of the 1980s and still emerged as the decade's defining champion, carrying the torch from Muhammad Ali as the sport's transcendent star. Now, what made Leonard so great, though, was his consistent insistence on accepting Herculean challenges. Consider this. BoxRec's encyclopedia entry for Leonard notes that between November 1979 and September 1981, Leonard fought Wilfred Benitez, Roberto Duran twice, Ayu Kalule, and Thomas Hearns. And the records between them, 177 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and Sugar Ray fought them. That was the combined record between those fighters. Okay, those Duran twice, Benitez, Lule, and Hearns. 5 fights, 177 1-1 record combined. Wow, that's a solid resume right from that, right? Okay. Now, and don't forget about the myriad of iconic moments Leonard produced, from the No Mas rematch against Duran, to his late rally to stop Hearns in their classic first encounter, to ending a 3-year retirement to dethrone middleweight legend Marvin Hagler. Leonard was 10 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 8 knockouts in title fights, and 7 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 5 knockouts against other world champions. And he held titles in 5 weight classes. But Leonard was about far more than stat, because like almost no other fighter, he sought out greatness at every turn. Sugar Ray Leonard, representative for North Carolina. Okay. Ohio, James J. Jeffries, greatest fighter out of Ohio, James J. Jeffries. James J. Jeffries. I was reading the chat. Okay, let me see. Hit the like button, please. Or the Cash App Super Chat. Hit the like button mainly. It'll cost you nothing. Appreciate it. What's up, Albert Rael? Said the Welch Park Gangster. Salute, Albert Rael. Good to see you today. Yeah, we are talking about the greatest boxer from every state in America. Okay, salute, Albert Rael. Cash Sports, the Boxtorian, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., bringing you all that boxing. Okay, let's continue. Ohio, James J. Jeffries, greatest fighter from Ohio. He only had 22 fights. I'm gonna stop saying only because 22 times going between the ropes is plenty. I don't have any. My record is 0-0. So he was 19 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 16 knockouts for James J. Famously known as the Boilermaker, James J. Jeffries was a revered heavyweight champion who, despite fewer than 25 pro fights, dominated his era in an image of rugged, hulking strength that the public idolized in a career that lasted from 1895 to 1904, with a brief and infamous final act in 1910. Now, Jeffries defended the world heavyweight title 7 times and competed in 9 fights against future Hall of Famers. Jeffries holds wins over luminaries James J. Corbett, Bob Fitzsimmons, Peter Jackson, and Tom Sharkey. After Jeffries' retirement as an undefeated champion, he was held in such esteem that racial pressure led to him being induced out of retirement to challenge champion Jack Johnson, the first black world heavyweight champion. This was in 1910. Now, Johnson outclassed and stopped Jeffries, although the Boilermaker was well past his prime. Still, Jeffries admitted Johnson was the superior fighter, and the entire spectacle and debacle of this event exemplified the racism that both boxing and America were experiencing at the time. Now, while Jeffries was certainly a titan of boxing's early history, special mention must be given to Cincinnati's Aaron Hawk Pryor when you're talking about Ohio. Right? Aaron had passed away by the time, but he still could have, but he still picked Jeffries. But Pryor was 39-1, 35 knockouts. His awesome power, intimidating scowl, and frenetic, overwhelming style allowed him to rule the junior welterweight division to the tune of an 11-0 record in title fights. Okay, he won 2 decisive victories over Nicaraguan great, the explosive thin man Alexis Arguello, to cement his Hall of Fame credentials. So we had 2 from Ohio, James J. Jeffries and Aaron the Hawk Pryor. Okay, 2 from Ohio. Oklahoma, Eddie Cotton. Eddie Cotton. There's Eddie on the right. Yeah, we're going to get it today because it's just 3 o'clock. And get some link time too. Eddie is from Muskogee, Oklahoma. 56 wins, 23 losses, 2 draws, 33 knockouts. Although Oklahoma doesn't boast a storied boxing history, the state can make a case that it should be home to a unified light heavyweight champion in Eddie Cotton, a respected, defensively sound contender who fought as a pro between 1947 and 1967. Cotton faced many of his era's best, and he was narrowly defeated in 2 world title fights. Close, but no cigar. This ain't horseshoes. Now, Cotton's first major opportunity came in 1961 when he faced master technician Harold Johnson. That's the fight right there, him and Harold Johnson. That's Harold on the left, Eddie on the right. That was his first title shot. Okay, he faced Harold Johnson for the National Boxing Association light heavyweight title. That was just before it turned into the WBA. Eddie lost a split decision. It would take Eddie 5 years and a win over Henry Hank for the Michigan version of the world light heavyweight title to earn another shot at top honors. This time against WBC WBA boss Jose Torres. Now, in the Ring Magazine's 1966 Fight of the Year, Cotton was on the wrong end of a highly contested unanimous verdict. He might have been robbed in that one. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Eddie Cotton and Jose Torres, 1966. Fight of the Year, too. I've never seen that. Towards the end of his career, Cotton would lose to legend Bob Foster, and he also fought Archie Moore, Sixto Rodriguez of Fat City fame, and Peruvian great Mauro Mena, amongst others. In retirement, Cotton, who embodied the classic, competent, and crafty elite contender, he worked for the Boeing Aircraft Company, the Washington State Boxing Commission, and he owned a restaurant in Seattle, Washington. Let me write that down. Eddie Cotton and who was it? It should be right here in front of me. Let's just talk about the fight I never. Jose Torres. Eddie Cotton versus Jose Torres. I'm gonna check that out today. That was Fight of the Year. Said it could have went either way. I'm going to see. Okay, next is Oregon. Denny Moyer. is the best fighter, greatest fighter to ever come out of Oregon, Denny Moyer. Bruce Gas in the building. Cam J Network. Cam J says Aaron Pryor, Cincinnati legend from my city. Okay, Cam J from Cincinnati. Yeah, we had two from Ohio, Cam J. We had the Hawk and James J. Jeffries, greatest fighters to come out of Ohio. Two up. A salute Cam J and salute Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Okay. Anybody not subscribed to all these great channels? Cam J, Bruce Gas. Make sure you take care of that. Drunk Irishman also. Define Only One said he's thinking about starting a channel. That should be a great channel. Knowledgeable boxing guy like Define Only One. Looking forward to that. Yeah. But Denny Moyer from Portland, Oregon. Greatest fighter from Oregon. 98 wins, 38 losses, 4 draws, 25 knockouts. A true technician with the gumption to fight anyone, Portland's Denny Moyer enjoyed both impressive longevity and success at the elite level in a career that lasted from 1957 to 1975. Now, the early phase of Moyer's career would see him fight and beat the likes of Sugar Ray Robinson, Emil Griffin, Benny Kid Parrott. Wow, those are some big names. These fights came after Moyer had lost a world welterweight title fight against Don Jordan as a 21-fight novice. But even in defeat, he proved he belonged in the sport's upper echelon. Wow. Sugar Ray Robinson, Emil Griffin, Benny Parrott, those were some big names. Did he beat them? Beat all three of them. Now, Moyer would claim a world title when he defeated Joey Giambra to win the inaugural WBA title at junior middleweight. Now, 2 fights later, Moyer would add the WBC belt to his collection to become a unified champion. But he would lose both titles in his next fight against Ralph Dupas by split decision. And an immediate rematch saw Moyer drop a unanimous verdict. By then, in 1963, Moyer was already a 46-fight veteran. In characteristic fashion, Moyer would persevere and impressively launch another assault at a world title, this time at middleweight. Moyer captured the North American Boxing Federation 160-pound title and rode a 14-fight unbeaten streak into a fight against WBA, WBC middleweight champion and future Hall of Famer, the great King Carlos Monzon in Rome, Italy. A remarkable 9 years after his last major title fight. Although he was stopped in 5 rounds, the sheer will to claw his way back to contention confirmed Moyer's legendary status in Oregon. Denny Moyer. Pennsylvania. The legendary Pittsburgh Windmill, Harry Grab. Greatest fighter to come out of Pennsylvania. Harry Grab. There's Harry. The Pittsburgh Windmill. 107 wins, 8 losses, 3 draws, 48 knockouts. And he had almost 200 newspaper decisions besides those fights. So Grab is up around 300 total fights, yeah. Now, whenever boxing in Pennsylvania, he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Whenever boxing in Pennsylvania is mentioned, the conversation inevitably shifts to Philadelphia's lore. But it is Pittsburgh's Harry Grab, the world middleweight champion from 1923 to 1926, and American light heavyweight champion from 1922 to 23, who clearly distinguished himself as the greatest fighter born in the state. Grab, known as the Pittsburgh Windmill, for his frenetic, swarming style, fought nearly everyone in a talent-laden era, rising in weight for seemingly impossible challenges. The man fought 45 times in 1 year and won all of them. Now, all of them wasn't world beaters, but just fighting 45 times. After 2 years earlier, fighting 37 times in 1 year. That's almost 100 times in 3 years. It probably was 100 because they had a year in between, right? So 45-37 is 82. So if he fought 37 in 1917 and 45 in 1919, you know he fought 18 in 1918. So you can say 100 fights in 3 years for this man. Now, though Greb is best remembered for his dominance at middleweight, he is also the only man to defeat Gene Tunney. Gene Tunney. In 1922, Greb wrested Tunney's American light heavyweight title, bludgeoning, cutting, and soundly defeating the champion by unanimous decision. Now, the rematch resulted in a disputed split decision for Tunney, in what many felt was a robbery. Greb and Tunney would face off a total of 5 times. Of all the other luminaries Greb faced, legend and then welterweight champion Mickey Walker, the Toy Bulldog, who Greb defended his middleweight title against in a fight that featured torrid action, including a brutal second stanza, would also become inextricably linked to the Pittsburgh man's, Walker would become inextricably linked to the Pittsburgh man. It kind of lost me there. Now, Greb won his decision. But the story, this is what happened. This is how they became linked. Now, Greb won the decision during the fight. But later that night, they met in a nightclub. And they had the rematch later that night in the nightclub. Now, Walker knocked Greb down to the floor, right, with an alleged sucker punch. Okay. Then they went outside and finished it off. So they fought that day and had an immediate rematch that night in a nightclub, okay? And they was in the club arguing, and Mickey Walker stuck the punch Greb. But they did go outside and finish it. Now, Greb died at age 32. His fighting spirit is supported by numbers that are almost impossible to fathom, given how boxing's landscape has shifted. 45 fights in 1919 alone, and 16 Hall of Famers faced in over 48 fights, with a 33-9-6 record against these all-time greats. The Great Hurt, part of the International Boxing Hall of Fame's inaugural 1990 class, Greb was also willing to face elite black fighters, and so many other fighters refused. Yeah, Greb was one of the ones willing to face anybody. That's why I said if he would have been in the Murderers Row era, Greb would have fought him. Harry Greb didn't duck nobody. Rhode Island, Vinny Pazienza is the greatest fighter out of Rhode Island. The Tasmanian Devil. What you think, Bruce? Vinny? Bruce Gas probably got somebody, of course. Vinny Pazienza from Rhode Island, Bruce Gas. Okay. Yeah, Bruce was in here. Yeah, Vinny from Cranston, Rhode Island. 60 fights, 150, lost 10, 30 knockouts. The Tasmanian Devil. Okay. Now, few fighters have been able to persevere like Rhode Island's Vinny Pazienza. Officially, Vinny Paz. He survived a fractured neck from a car accident to mount one of the more improbable second acts to a career in contemporary boxing history, okay? Came back to boxing after that accident. Wow. A 2-weight world champion. Pazienza incredibly won world championships 20 pounds apart, claiming the IBF lightweight title against Greg Hargan in 1987 and the WBA junior middleweight strap from Gilbert DeLay 4 years later. Incredible. Those would prove to be Pazienza's only 2 victories in major championship fights, but the story of his career goes far beyond his 2-6-1 knockout mark in such championship fights. In fact, Pazienza went 8-7, 2 knockouts against other champions, beating the likes of Harry Arroyo, Luis Santana, Lloyd Honeyghan, and even Roberto Duran twice. That was old Roberto Duran, but he still beat him twice. Most remarkable, though, was his challenge of IBF super middleweight champion Roy Jones Jr. in 1995. Okay? Frankly, Pazienza should not have been alive at that point. The aforementioned car accident that fractured his neck left him in a head and neck brace with a halo for support, but he managed to work his way back in the title contention and earned the Ring's Comeback of the Year award in 1991. Who else would get it? Come back from a fractured neck to boxing? They should have gave him the Comeback of the Year award for the next 10 straight years, or for the rest of his career to continue fighting. Now, Roy Jones would ultimately stop Pazienza in 6 rounds, but the Tasmanian Devil would dust himself off and earn another title shot in 2002, losing to Canadian Eric Lucas. Vinny Paz's legacy transcends wins and losses, making him a larger-than-life figure from America's tiniest state. Yeah, coming back from that car accident, that was incredible, man. He should have got Comeback of the Year for every year the rest of his career to just still be fighting after that. Automatically. Nobody else should have even been in the running. South Carolina, the greatest fighter for South Carolina, Smoking Joe Frazier. Smoking Joe Frazier. Beaufort, South Carolina. Smoking Joe had 37 fights. He won 32, lost 4, 1 draw, 27 knockouts. And you know, his style, his career was short because of that style, that swarming style. You know, Rocky Marciano, only 8 years. Fighters of that swarming style like that, you know, typically don't have long careers. But Joe Frazier had a great knockout ratio though, 84.3%, 27 knockouts in 32 outings. 32 wins, 27 knockouts in 32 wins for Smoking Joe. Okay, let's talk about Smoking Joe. Yeah, we wound it down now. We at South Carolina. Oh, good time. Yeah, part 1 was longer. Tomorrow is the new series, Boxing Around the World. Start with a history of boxing in Afghanistan. Afghanistan, yep. And Friday, the weekly profile is the first Friday, so it's an active boxer. The life and career of Gervonta Tank Davis, Friday. Now, although indelibly linked to Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier's legacy is far greater than being relegated to the B-side of boxing's most storied rivalry. A gold medalist at the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo, Japan, Frazier's rise as a professional initially coincided with Muhammad Ali's suspension from boxing due to his anti-Vietnam War stance and refusal to enter the U.S. Army. Frazier, in fact, supported Ali in his struggle for justice. Yeah, and it's Frazier's this incredible story just from that Olympics, you know? But anyway, in Ali's absence, Frazier would claim the New York State Athletic Commission World Heavyweight title in 1968 before gaining unanimous recognition as champion with a stoppage of Jimmy Ellis in 1970. Ellis had won the title in that tournament that they had for Ali's belt, which Frazier declined to participate in support of Ali. And Frazier took the belt from Ellis after the tournament in 1970. Now, Frazier's greatest moment, though, would come 2 fights later. In a fight worthy of being billed the fight of the century, Frazier won a unanimous decision over Ali, throwing the greatest with the most famous left hook in boxing history in round 15 to punctuate a defining triumph. Part of the most famous punch in boxing history, that left hook that floored Ali in that fight. So Frazier would defend the title 2 more times before running into the juggernaut that was a prime Big George Foreman. Although Frazier would never regain the title, he bravely fought on, losing 2 times to Ali, but producing a transcendent trilogy. The Thriller in Manila, perhaps the greatest fight ever, featured brutal action and drama, including Eddie Futch mercifully pulling Frazier out of the fight before the final round, saying, "It's all over. No one will forget what you did here today, son." Indeed, Joe Frazier, who died in 2011 at age 67, was integral in defining an iconic era, the likes of which boxing fans will never see again. And Joe Frazier fought in the greatest era ever of heavyweights, and only two men beat him: Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, 2 times apiece. All those other great heavyweights, Frazier lost to none of them. Okay? Ali and Foreman were the only ones who beat Smoking Joe. Tennessee. Now, this is strange for Tennessee, but we're going by birthplace, so Tennessee is Thomas Hearns. But we're going by birthplace. I think he only lived there until he was like 2, but hey, that's where he was born in. Memphis, Tennessee. 61 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, 48 knockouts for the Hitman. The Motor City Cobra, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, one of the legendary 4 Kings. 78.6% knockout ratio, hovering right around 80. Now, the power Thomas Hearns was able to harness in his right hand seemed impossible, given his scrawny frame, especially when the 6'1" Hitman campaigned at 147 and 154 pounds. The Hearns was a member of the 1980s 4 Kings, but he, like each member of that vaunted group, forged a legacy that extended beyond Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, and Roberto Duran. Yeah, all of them forged a legacy that extended beyond each other, for sure. Now, with a record of 15 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 9 knockouts in world title fights, and a 13-win, 5-loss, 1 draw, 8 knockout record against other champions, Hearns compiled one of the more impressive resumes in contemporary boxing history. Interestingly, Hearns became the first fighter to win championships in 4 weight classes: welterweight, junior middleweight, middleweight, and light heavyweight. And he broke his own record when he claimed top honors at super middleweight, 168 pounds. Remarkably, Hearns rose through 50 pounds worth of weight class during his career because he briefly competed at cruiserweight. Now, Manny went through more divisions, but Hearns went up more actual weight, because I think Manny only went up 42 pounds because a lot of those lower divisions, Manny came through 3 pounds apart. So Hearns went up 5 divisions, but more weight than Manny. He was going through divisions 6, 7, 8 rounds apart. Now, of course, Hearns is remembered for his part he played in the war with Marvin Hagler, the greatest 3 rounds in boxing history. But his knockouts of Pepino Cuevas and Roberto Duran were chilling and spectacular. Now, while Hearns beat a slew of the champions, he came up short, at least officially, against Sugar Ray Leonard in the first fight, and then the second fight was a draw. In 1981 was an absolute classic. Hearns was leading at the 14 rounds, but he got stopped. And he had a controversial draw at 168 and 89 with Sugar Ray, where he dropped Sugar Ray twice and deserved to win. And like I said the other day, nobody thought we had to wait 8 years for the rematch at welterweight. When they had to fight at welterweight in 81, they didn't fight again until 89. And then at super middleweight. So wow. We thought that fight rematch would be at welterweight late 81 or at least 82. The rematch was 8 years later at super middleweight. Crazy. Crazy. Texas, Jack Johnson, the greatest boxer to come out of Texas. Jack Johnson. Running down there. Galveston, Texas. 56 wins, 11 losses, 8 draws, 35 knockouts for the Galveston Giant. On December 26, 1908, Jack Johnson broke boxing's heavyweight color barrier by beating Canadian Tommy Burns. Johnson captured the world heavyweight title, which had become synonymous with a view of white strength and superiority, grounded in ingrained prejudice and overt institutionalized racism. It was a watershed moment in American sports, and Johnson's defiance of customs and including his liaisons with white women, was groundbreaking. Johnson was also a gifted technician and ring craftsman who outboxed, befuddled, and humiliated opponents. During his title reign, the Galveston Giant defeated notable opponents like Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, Stanley Ketchel, Fireman Jim Flynn, and famously, former champion and ring legend James J. Jeffrey. No Gunboat. I thought Gunboat Smith would have been in there. I thought he did beat Gunboat. Why didn't say Gunboat? But anyway, he did beat Gunboat, so I'm going to add Gunboat in there. And Gunboat Smith. Okay? Now, Jeffrey was trotted out of retirement to win the title back for the white race. Johnson outclassed and knocked Jeffries out in 15 rounds in one of the most significant fights in boxing history. Now, because Jack Johnson was ahead of his time, he helped in his own way to advance it. Boxing's lengthy and complicated history allows for connections to be made that span decades and vastly different eras. Okay? It is necessary to say that Johnson, by challenging the discrimination and racism of his time, by being such a brilliant boxer, and by crafting a unique celebrity persona, paved the way for Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis, okay, and Floyd and Tank and all of them. Utah, Gene Fullmer, the great Gene Fullmer. There's Gene, from a boxing family. Brother Don. I don't think Don was a champion. He was a good boxer. Gene is from West Jordan, Utah. 55 wins, 6 losses, 3 draws, 24 knockouts. Winding down. We on U. T-U-V-W. Yeah, W note. Yeah. W. V. Virginia. Yeah, we got a few more to go. Yeah, we're going to get it in 323. For most elite middleweight boxers of Gene Fullmer's era, he fought in the greatest era ever of middleweight. The specter of Sugar Ray Robinson looms too large. Robinson, who is as close to unanimously recognized as the greatest ever pound-for-pound fighter as one can get, ran roughshod over the 147 and 160-pound divisions, not really over 160. Fullmer, though, managed to emerge victorious from their 4-fight rivalry. In 1957, Fullmer defeated Robinson by a unanimous decision to win the world middleweight title, only to get knocked out by Sugar Ray in the 5th round in his first defense, 3 fights later. Your Fullmer said Sugar Ray hit him so hard. When he woke up, he saw Sugar Ray over on the other side in the corner. He thought it was in between rounds, and Sugar Ray was just waiting to come out for the next round. Fullmer said he didn't even know the fight was over. He woke up and thought it was in between rounds. Somebody had to tell him he had just got knocked out. Mm-hmm. Now, other than Robinson and Basilio, Fullmer also defeated Benny Kid Parrott and Paul Pender, as well as a litany of top contenders. Although he would go 0-2-1 over his last 3 fights, each fight came against the great Dick Tiger and was contested for world titles. Yeah, Fullmer was sort of like the end, and Tiger was sort of like a little younger then. So yeah, it wasn't like prime versus prime. Fullmer is one of the few boxers to end his career in exclusively meaningful prize fights, and that combined with his championship reigns easily makes him the greatest fighter born in the state of Utah. Vermont, Young Firpo. I wanted to get some late time today, so we're gonna pick it up. From Bar, Vermont, 74 wins, 15 losses, 4 draws, 43 knockouts. Young Firpo was a devastating puncher with a frenetic pressure style, okay? Real name was Guido Bardelli. Over the course of his career, Firpo faced the likes of John Henry Lewis, Tiger Jack Fox, Wesley Ketchel, George Manley, Leo Lonsky, and George Courtney. He also retained the Pacific Coast Light Heavyweight title for an impressive run in 1933 and 34, okay? Crush the Legend in the building. What's up, Crush? we finishing up the greatest fighter from every state. Press the Legend, 6:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. Get your coffee and your donuts with Press the Legend. Fire, go. Salute, Press. Yeah, Young Firpo was the fighter from Vermont. From Virginia, the representative from Virginia, the greatest fighter from Virginia is Colonel Sweet Pea Whitaker from Norfolk, Virginia. 40 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 17 knockouts for Sweet Pea. Now, after winning a gold medal at the 1984 Olympics, Colonel Sweet Pea Whitaker would embark on a professional career that saw him become a 4-weight world champion and one of the greatest lightweights ever, right? All while establishing a new standard for elusive defensive boxing that managed to both befuddle opponents and leave audiences in awe from watching him. At his peak, 93-94, Sweet Pea was recognized as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport of boxing at that time, 93-94. Whitaker amassed a record of 19 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 14 knockouts in world title fights. 14 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 4 knockouts against other world champions. Interestingly, Sweet Pea lost his first bid for a major title when in only his 16th fight, he challenged 106-fight veteran Jose Luis Ramirez and dropped a split verdict, but very controversial split verdict. However, Whitaker would win the IBF title only 2 fights later, and then exact revenge on Ramirez, triumphing in a unification fight by a dominant, unanimous decision, a result that became as assured as death and taxes during Whitaker's career. Colonel Sweet Pea Whitaker. Now, one of Whitaker's most infamous fights was his observed draw against Julio Cesar Chavez, who was 87-0 when the fight took place. And it was obviously touted as a matchup of historic proportions. Now, although he was robbed of his victory, Whitaker proved he was a superior fighter during the fight. And even though Whitaker's later career brought him 3 of his 4 losses and was marred by drug use, he was one of the few ring legends who was never beat in his athletic prime. Okay? 3 of his 4 losses came at the end of his career, and the other one was a robbery. Never beaten in his prime. Okay? Washington State, Freddie Steele. Washington State. Okay. We get ready to land. Everybody buckle their seatbelts coming into the runway now. Get ready to land the plane. Freddie Steele from Seattle, Washington. 123 wins, 5 losses, 11 draws, 58 knockouts. Not a fight. He was called from Tacoma, Washington. They called him the Tacoma Assassin. He was the recognized middleweight champion between 1936 and 1938, and his remarkable ring record included only 2 defeats during the first decade of his career. A skilled boxer with legitimate pop, Steele would go 6-1 in middleweight title fights, all while facing multiple elite contenders in fights held before and in between those championship fights. Now, Steele found some success in Hollywood after he retired, appearing in such films as the Oscar-nominated Hail the Conqueror Hero and as Earl Flynn's boxing stunt double in Gentleman Jim. Yeah, Earl Steele played James J. Jeffries or somebody. Gentleman Jim, somebody, a boxer. And Freddie Steele played the double as the boxer, part of Earl Flynn's role. Okay. West Virginia. The best boxer to ever come out of West Virginia, Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter. Surprise y'all on that one, didn't it? Christy Martin. That's Christy on the left. The coal miner's daughter. From Bluefield, West Virginia. 49 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws, 31 knockouts. Yes, Christy Martin. At her peak, Christy Martin was one of the most famous and respected female boxers in the world, appearing on the cover of Sports Illustrated in April of 1996, first female boxer to ever do so. This came after a Showtime televised victory over Deidre Gorgon, which earned Martin the WBC's nominal female lightweight championship, right? WBC did not offer belt for women's open competition at the time. Interestingly, Martin got into boxing on a dare after being persuaded to enter a tough woman competition while still attending the university on a basketball scholarship. Martin's career as a prize fighter would see her face fellow trailblazers Mia St. John. They split a pair of fights, former world boxing and MMA champion Holly Holm, and later Ali. Later, Martin would fight for the North American Boxing Federation middleweight strap and win the WBC super welterweight strap. Wasn't Mia St. John the one that the lady died after fighting as a result of that fight? Wasn't it Mia St. John? He used to call her the most dangerous woman in the world or something. Incredibly, Martin survived a brutal attempted murder in November 2010 when her then husband, James Martin, stabbed her multiple times in the back and then shot her. Martin was somehow able to escape and flag down a motorist who took her to the hospital, and her husband was eventually convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Martin, who is largely responsible for putting women's boxing on the map and paving the way for the likes of two-time Olympic gold medalist Clarissa Shields, Amanda Serrano, Alicia Baumgardner, Katie Taylor, all of them, Christy Martin. She now lives with her partner, Perry Lusk. Okay. Wisconsin, Tyrone Trice. I think this is it. Let me see. Because Wyoming, we didn't do what? Yeah, Tyrone Trice. It's Tyrone on the left. This is it. We're going to get some link time. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 43 wins, 10 losses, 34 draws. No, 34 knockouts. 34 knockouts. Mike Rim says Christy used to get it in. Yes, she did, Mike Rim. Mike Rim, when did you come in? I didn't see Mike Rim come in. Salute Mike Rim. Like stuck in on us. See, I had Mike Rim on here. Mike now. But Mike Rim in the building. Salute Mike Rim. But Mike probably been in the building. I just didn't see him. Oh man, I'm gonna get fired. Listen, big name. Regulars like Mike Rim coming in. I hope Miss Cass didn't see that. This might be my last day, so let's enjoy it. Okay, Tyrone Trice from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin is not a renowned boxing state, but Tyrone the Butterfly Trice emerged from Milwaukee to become a top welterweight and junior middleweight contender in the 1980s and 90s. He unsuccessfully challenged for world titles on 3 occasions, but he did hold a WBA America's welterweight title and IBC minor strap at 154 pounds. He is also remembered for his feud with multiweight champion James Toney, even though they never fought. Yeah, Lights Out had feuds with everybody, man. That ain't nothing new. Lights Out had feud with everybody. Who didn't Lights Out have a feud? James Lights Out Toney. Okay. Now, Trice faced Simon Brown for the IBF welterweight title in 1988 and 1990, losing on both occasions by late stoppage. His third and final crack at world title honors would come again at WBO junior middleweight champion John David Jackson, and he beat Trice in a fairly competitive fight. I scored the 160-111 twice. Trice, how come I can't say that? Trice, 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 like by Trice, tricycle. Okay, but that's it. Tyrone Trice. Okay, we are going to now get some link time. Hope everybody. Terrell Cameron in the building. They always show plus give great commentary. Chat box the like button. Oh, I appreciate you, Terrell Cameron. We're gonna get some link time. I didn't know Terrell was in these. I miss all these people. These are reckless. Mike Rem, Terrell Cameron. Damn. Oh, this cat's taking a nap. Because I'm fired for sure. Get this link and get my last 30 minutes ever on the show. Okay. Let me put the link in. Tomorrow is the new series, Boxing Around the World, History of Boxing in Afghanistan. We're going through the alphabetical order, just like boxing in the States, and look at boxing in some country. And I was surprised to find what I found for Afghanistan, man. Yeah. And some boxers from Afghanistan, too. It's crazy. Yeah. When you think boxing and you talk about foreign countries, Afghanistan is not exactly the first country to come to mind. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the Olympics is safe. Remember, they was talking about boxing being eliminated in the Olympics? They found another sanctioning, a governing body for Olympics and boxing in the Olympics. Because the IOC is over the entire Olympics. Each sport got their own governing body. They found this organization called World Boxing that's going to preside over it. So boxing is good for 2028. Because one time it was on the ropes. They might not have had it, but yeah, they found I think Triple G is affiliated with this organization called World Boxing. I got a little story on it, but I don't know where it's at. I'll read it to y'all tomorrow about the Olympics, boxing being saved and everything, because they found a organization to oversee it in the Olympics. Yeah. So we're gonna have boxing in 2028. Some people were saying that boxing is out of the Olympics, but that's not true. It was on the ropes because they got rid of the last body that overlooked it, but they found another one called World Boxing. I think Triple G is affiliated with this organization. But we're going to talk about it tomorrow. I got the article somewhere, but I got so much stuff around here. I don't know. I'm going to find it, though, this evening. Yeah, but boxing will be in the 2028 Olympics. Because one time they wasn't sure. Yeah. It was really a question mark whether boxing was going to continue. Because the IOC and the last organization that oversaw, I forgot what it was, they had a big issue with each other, a big falling out. And the IOC fired them. And this last Olympics, the last two, 2020 and 24, the IOC oversaw boxing itself. But they said they weren't doing that no more. They said we're either going to find a body to oversee the sport for the Olympics, or it's just not going to be in it. Because the IOC have to oversee the entire Olympic, right? So they said no more. They did it 2 years, but and the World Boxing stepped forward. I forgot Triple G's title, but I think he's some kind of high-ranking official in this organization. Yeah, World Boxing. Thank you, World Boxing. Saving boxing in the Olympics. Yep. So they weren't sure at all boxing was going to continue as an Olympic sport because it was on the road big time, man. Yeah. Okay. Not another boxing channel presented by B3 Picks in the building. What's up, B3? How are you? It is the link right there. Anybody wants to? We got like 30 minutes to chop it up. Y'all to chop it up because I've been talking for the last hour and a half. If anybody want to come up and say what they want to say, everybody is welcome to hit the link. See how much you love this show, how much you hated it. You know, I ain't gonna get mad. I ain't gonna like you no more, but I ain't gonna get mad. No, just kidding. But how's everybody today on this hump day afternoon? All downhill toward the weekend. This is July too. We got some big cards coming up in this month, man. Yeah. We got the big ones, Berlanga and them, and Shakur and Zepeda coming up. That's the biggie. I heard Tank and Roach is August 16th. Right? So yeah. That's some nice stuff coming up this summer for us fights. Terrell says taking clean shot, he still won. You talking about Triple G in them, Terrell? Oh, y'all talking about something else, another fight. Yeah, we're gonna have some good stuff coming up for us fights in the summer. And tomorrow, boxing in Afghanistan, and Friday. We doing active boxes now, the first Friday every month. Remember, we started with Canelo last week, and this time it's Tank Davis, life and career. Yeah, there we go. Oh, you talking about the photo? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he's dead. He took a big shot, looks like. I don't know, Terrell. He might have went down. He kind of leaning. I don't know about that one. Oh, there's Define Arnie. What's up, Define Arnie? How are you today, my brother?
I'm good, bro. Just got off the gym. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Just chilling, talking this boxing. You know how we do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Man, I could have sworn I thought Hagler was from Brockton, Mass. And
that's where he lived most of his life at, but early part was in New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking up in the book, and it says born in New York, and I was like, oh,
yeah. But his career played out of Massachusetts, yeah. That's where he was based at, with the Petronelli brothers and all that, you know.
Yeah, and I'm in the part of the book where he is thanking, paying tribute to Rocky Marciano for being like the first one out of Brockton, Mass.
You didn't tell me you had that book, yeah.
Yeah. I got my boxing library is not it's got Ali book, Marciano book, Hagler book, Osaki, but it's gonna get big.
You got a nice little library going there.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see who I had for Massachusetts. The best boxer. Did I do Massachusetts? I don't remember. That was yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to see who I had. I mean, it should have been. I don't think I did Massachusetts. Yeah, it should have been Rocky. Oh, I don't know. Let me see. I got it sitting right here. Massachusetts. New Mexico.
New Mexico is Tapia.
Gave it to Johnny Tapia. Yeah. I didn't do any active ones. Just Bud was the only active fighter.
Yeah, Bud Crawford. I'm totally fine with Tapia.
Minnesota. I don't even see Massachusetts. I don't know how.
Pennsylvania was the one that.
Oh, Sandy Sadler. Sandy Sadler, yeah.
That's perfectly fine. He had a rivalry with Willie Pep, bro, for the age.
Yeah.
They fought, I don't know how many times. 5 or 4 times?
4 times.
Okay.
And he had that pugilistic dementia bad, man.
Oh, man, seriously? Damn.
You know, him and Willie Pep became best friends. They used to travel around and do little talk exhibitions and do little talks together, speeches. And I seen a film of one, and they was asking them questions about their fights, and they would ask Sandy something. Willie Pep would have to answer for him. because Sandy couldn't even make himself understood, man. It was real sad watching that. Yeah.
Man.
He could barely talk.
I remember he was also the trainer for Foreman.
Yeah, he was at the time. That was not too long after his career. I guess over the years, it just got worse, you know.
Yeah.
But I forgot about that. He did train Foreman, didn't he?
Yeah, especially young Foreman.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
There's clips of Foreman hitting the punching bag and just moving him out of place and his hat falling off and stuff like that. I mean, just imagine holding the bag for that.
Oh man. I probably wouldn't have did it. So
No,
got somebody else to do it. Because he must have and miss by mistake. Accidents happen, it hit me, man.
Kill me right then and there, bro.
You know, shoot. I know my eyes would have been closed when he hit the bag. I was holding it with my eyes closed.
George Foreman is probably my favorite heavyweight.
Really? Foreman? Okay.
I mean, I try not to put when people ask me who's my favorite fighter and stuff, I try to leave out, the Sugar Ray, the Ali, because that to me is who I think is the best. That to me is a little bit of a different conversation.
That's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good point. What's up, Thomas Hill?
What's good with you guys?
Not too much. We just talking in general, that's all. About this sport boxing.
I didn't really have like a specific topic in mind. I didn't get through the whole. I was watching. You remember the other day you gave me like 3 or 4 fights to watch. I watched most of Wilfredo Gomez and Lupe Pintor. Good God, what a fight!
Which one was it? Oh, you're breaking up, Define, Arnie. Yeah, here you go. Oh, yeah, you better. What was that in here? The fight you said?
Yeah, one of the fights that you gave me for homework. I watched almost all of the Wilfredo Gomez and Lupe Pintor fight.
Oh, that one. Gomez and Pintor. Yeah, that was a good one. Gomez won that one, didn't he?
I think so. I haven't watched the whole thing.
I done messed it up for you.
That's
I don't know who won. I can't remember, to tell you the truth.
I think he won because, if I'm not mistaken, he beat Carlos Zárate. He beat quite a few Mexican fighters, and then he ran into Salvador Sanchez.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'll see that one, and then I'll see the Nigel Benn one, and then tomorrow I'll see the Camacho and Eddie Rosado fight. I'll give you the feedback.
Hey, Thomas Hill.
Yes, sir.
Who's the best boxer from California, you think, all time? In your opinion?
Oh, that's tough.
Doesn't have to be one, right?
No.
Well, I mean, if you're saying the best, because the thing is, like, it's kind of hard to say who's the best, because you would have to factor everything in, and like, in order for you truly to determine whether or not the best, they would have to be in the same pretty much.
Can't hear you.
Dropped off.
California has so many great fighters. You got some that have done extremely well. Who would you say?
I had Manuel Ortiz. I had the old school.
Manuel Ortiz. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. Yeah, he fought.
I remember him. De La Hoya is kind of hard to go against as well too.
That's true.
And I say De La Hoya for so many different reasons. Like that not only his amateur career, his Olympic career, but also his pro career. I mean, he gave way to the Mayweather era. I mean, before Mayweather was making those checks, De La Hoya was making big bank.
He was the man.
But he was not only making big bank, he was truly fighting everybody that was a threat.
Everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's kind of hard to go against the fact that him being a threat and going against many threats, whether you win or lose, you're in the ring with them. Now, of course, you want to win, but he won more than he lost.
Yeah, that's true. One more than he lost.
So, you know, when talking about that, it's tough. It's tough to say. It's like, for me, who's the best? Go ahead. Who's the best basketball player? In order for you to do that, you would have to say. You would have to say, like, okay, they all. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
They all played against pretty much the same talent, amongst the same type of talent on their team, and given the scope of basketball, who did each better. So it's tough, man. And a lot of people will say Michael Jordan.
That's true.
Some will say Kareem. Some will say Wilt Chamberlain. Some will even say LeBron James.
Yep.
Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, what's his name? Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. But how do we determine who truly is the best?
Good question.
So that's why it's tough, man. But I would say impact upon the sport. Who has made a big impact for it?
That's a good way to look at it.
I mean, like, for example, if you ask me who's the best fighter out of Puerto Rico, like, that's such a hard question to answer, because I can give you who I think is the best, and I can give you who's my favorite.
Yeah,
but I know, but I know for a fact that there are like 4 or 5 names that can be mentioned without any.
It could be right. It's a lot of names.
Exactly.
That could be right. Exactly. That could be right. Just like in basketball.
That's why I told you, like you can give some names, because just to mention one, to me, is very difficult. Like, to me, the best, the Puerto Rican GOAT is Benitez, and my favorite is Tito. But if anybody said Carlos Ortiz or Sixto Escobar or Wilfredo Gomez or Coro or Calderon, like, I'm not gonna say that, you know, I can't say anything about it. Just that to me, it's Benitez.
Right.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just agreeing with mine on this. So.
No, I was saying absolutely too. I was agreeing with him as well too. And that's why I always like when they say who's the GOAT. Who's the GOAT? Well, if you're thinking about basketball, you have to factor in everything that comprises the sport of basketball. The same thing with boxing. Who's the most complete at doing what you need to do when you're in the ring?
Right.
So who can adjust the styles? Who can fight in various styles? Who can defend well? Who can move well? Who can get their opponent to move like they want to? You know, who can speed, power, accuracy.
Under duress, you know?
Yeah, all these things come into the scope of the argument, and then it becomes who captured or who embodied all of this, along with winning and losing, who embodied all of that as a complete package. And I think that's how you get it. Because, I mean, man, I was just listening to something earlier this morning when I woke up about how now it seems to validate LeBron even more. They want to denigrate Kobe even further. So now they're putting lists together, and he's not even considered a person for basketball who's ever cracked the top 10 and the best of all time. And anybody who has looked at basketball can honestly say that something's wrong with them. Like, there has to be something else at play for you to want to say, well, hey, I've seen basketball and he's nowhere near close to the top 10.
Who? Kobe?
Yeah, they've placed him. They placed him at 15. Yeah, recently they've been trying to push him further and further out the conversation of one of the players that the best to ever do it.
No.
And this is really part of course, because before he passed, it was a lot of people who never played the game was doing that.
Yeah.
But people who played the game was like, nah, bro, we played against him. But now there's, ever since this quote unquote ring culture thing came up on LeBron's show, it's been like lesbian compiled, and they're pushing Kobe further and further down the list.
Mm.
And I've seen basketball. I've seen very few people be able to master the game of basketball the way that he has.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, to me, if I had to say my number one, doesn't make it right, but I believe Kareem is the best to ever have played the game. That's what I believe. Now, I believe it based on so many things, but like I said, high school, I'm taking in all high school, undefeated, champion. College, he whooped on the champions as a freshman, undefeated. Well, not undefeated, but champion, all nonetheless. NBA on set. You say what?
UCLA lost when Kareem was there, did they?
Yeah, he lost one game, and it was to Elvin Hayes. Okay. Then they played them again in a tournament, and they blew the floodgates out of them.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, they did lose one game. Bill Walton never lost a game.
Yeah, Walton did. Okay. It was Walton.
But Kareem lost one. Mm. Now, if Kareem would have been allowed to play as a freshman,
yeah.
Oh man, it would have been no limit to what his accomplishments. But he couldn't play as a freshman. But the team that won the championship that year, his varsity team, he and the freshmen spanked on them.
Damn.
Spanked on them because they could not stop. And on top of that, because he came in, they outlawed the dunk.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So does the game change because and that's the only way I entertain, and I'm gonna go back to boxing. That's the only way I entertain people that say Steph Curry.
Good
top
point.
10. I don't find Steph Curry no room to put him in the top 10. If we're talking all time, I can name 10 players that I find affected the game of basketball better, but they didn't have the impact. Like right. he got people shooting threes from galore. So he has a great impact on it, but affected the game, man. Shoot, Larry Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Oscar Robinson, Jerry West, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and the list goes on and on, man. And honestly,
every single player you just named can play the game on both ends of the floor. That's my main issue with Steph.
So when we're taking it to the ring, you got to be able to not only like footwork. Footwork is imperative for you to be successful in that ring. Not only from an offensive standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint. And how you navigate that ring is all based on the footwork that you have. And how you're able to manipulate the ring and manipulate your opponent. And a lot of times, like case in point with Deontay Wilder, you see him now on this stage of his career. He never really put much dedication into his footwork or his conditioning. Now, if you got poor conditioning and not so great footwork, what do you think it's going to make your footwork look like? It looks like how he's been looking lately in these fights. It looked like he's plodding, lumbering, kind of Herman Monster. Because first he's tired, and on top of that, his feet ain't where they need to be. They ain't trained to behave a certain way in the ring. And that shows itself in the ring, and it affects his punches and his ability to move from punches and move people into punches. And same. So on defense, the same is the case. Like your footwork got to be there in order for you to even maneuver yourself around an opponent's attack and maneuver your opponent towards a place where you could counter in case they do throw a punch. But if you're not doing that, then you're stuck in the mud. And if you're stuck in the mud in the ring and you're not moving as fast as normal as you used to, you get hit.
Only one
I
definitely
think
picked
it
that
comes
up.
down to what do we prioritize more. Like, for example, the reason why I say Benitez is, first of all, to me, outside of Ivan Calderon, he's the best boxer, skills-wise, ever from my eyes. But beyond that, to me, and people have debated this, like right here in the island with me, but to me, he had the toughest. How do you say the toughest competition? You know,
Brother May?
the toughest competition.
Okay.
That's why I say Benitez, because he had the four kings
Yeah.
plus. I
He
mean,
fought that era, yeah.
he fought Mustafa Hamsho. He
Yeah.
fought. I mean, you name it, bro. Like to me, that's just me. But the case can be made for several dudes. But like it comes down to me, like what do you like more? What do you prioritize? Some people will prioritize a 15-year career over a dude being untouchable for a couple of years, for example, right? Or the other way around, like for example, Argentina to me is Maravilla Martinez, and yeah, Monzon lasted longer, but Maravilla Martinez was untouchable for a couple of years. So I mean, man, it is an interesting conversation, but it basically comes down to you put them on a scale and you say, well, I favor this a little more as opposed to this right here, and so forth and so on, you know.
Yeah, that's very good points. Yeah, you can't be mad about
how I look at
Benitez, you know. Yeah. A lot of people would say Benitez.
A lot of them are underrated for different reasons. Calderon is underrated because apparently it's a sin to be in those divisions, you know, even though you're
I know
20 defense.
All the divisions.
And yeah,
so many guys down in those smaller divisions that would be household names that they fought up like lightweight to welterweight, something like that, you know.
Ivan Calderon was so good that I had a story from my barber. My barber is like a boxing encyclopedia, local boxing encyclopedia. He said that Floyd Mayweather, I can't remember, I think he was for Oscar or maybe, I can't remember for which fight. And he asked Ivan Calderon to spar with him, and he said he was one of the toughest sparring he ever had.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What was his best weight class? What was Calderon's best weight, would you say? His best work?
Put me on the spot now. I can't remember. He has most of his defenses in
around.
Give me a second. I'll tell you. Just give me a second, okay? I don't want to give you. Yeah. Because I know that Ricardo Lopez had
class he went in, he was good, but you know.
For example, Finito Lopez had like 18 of his 21 defenses or something like that in strawweight, and then a couple in junior flyweight. It's like an
strawweight. Most of them was at strawweight.
Yeah, it was strawweight, definitely strawweight.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he started fighting dudes way bigger than him just to move up and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, it didn't work out so good for him, but
yeah. Man. You know, Lopez, he could have been champion for an entire decade if he'd have wanted to. Like Joe Louis is the only one because he was champion throughout the entire 40s. And Joe Louis had a break. He went to war. Finito almost did it fight straight through. But like the end of 99, he vacated and moved up. He only had like a few more months to go. He could have been undisputed the entire decade, fighting straight through.
The thing is that he had a very tough fight against Rosendo Alvarez from Nicaragua.
Yeah.
The first one ended in a draw, and the second one ended in a split decision win for him. Right. And I've seen a lot of people, Mexican media members and former fighters, saying that he lost those.
Alvarez had his number.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
He even got one judge in the second fight. You know.
So it goes to show you that even if you retired undefeated, you're not out of controversy. Actually, far from it. You know, like every undefeated legend has had at least one fight where they're like, I don't know about that one.
Got that one in there where you can say that everybody.
Yeah,
that
from
one fight.
Floyd to Andre Ward to Joe Calz. I mean, mention whoever you want. I mean, they had at least one night where people go, I'm not so sure, but you know that's not to say that they're they
I
are.
heard people from that era say that Alvarez won both of them, the draw and the split decision.
Me too.
You know.
Well, I know for a fact, my man Juan Marquez won almost all of the fights. I thought the only one he didn't win was a draw, but they gave them all to Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
The third one was a robbery, bro. The third fight was a robbery, in my opinion. That definitely went to Marquez.
Marquez made sure in that last one, though, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give Pacquiao for the first one. I can give Pacquiao the first
one. The first one, it was close, but I still favored Marquez. I thought he had the cleaner, more effective punches.
Was that the draw? The first one?
Yeah. Okay. But if you look at the
I could give you the draw. To me, like Loma, I thought Loma won the fight with Devin. I honestly did. I thought that if you look at the fight in the space of the first 6, I could see where you can give Devin 4 rounds. Mm-hmm. I also could see where you can have it 3-3. I don't see, or you could even have it 4-2 Loma. But more like 3-3 or 4-2 Devin. But then after that, there was a space of 5 rounds where Loma won those rounds. And to me, in a fight when it's close and you can't really delineate, then who won more consecutive rounds is a thing that I look to for. So from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I only give Devin one of those rounds.
I gotta watch it again, but I remember watching it and thinking that I had a Loma 7-5 personally.
That's what I had it, yeah. That's what I had it.
When I first had it, I first watched, I had it 8-4. Mm-hmm. Then I looked at it again. I had it 7-5. I looked at it again, 7-5. But I cannot see some people saying Dev 9-3. Like you saw him win definitively 9 rounds. Which 9 rounds did you give him? That meant you had to give him all 6 in the first round, in the first half of the fight. He had to win every single one of those first rounds. The first half of the fight.
That's how they looking at it. Trying to give Devin rounds.
Very biased.
A person like
Sounds
that.
Very biased.
Yeah. They looking at it favoring Devin. When you come up with something ridiculous like that, man. 9 rounds.
And they're only looking at it because they want to justify him against Tank Davis.
That's it.
And I'm gonna be honest, and that's the thing with the Shakurians. So the Haneyeites, the Shakurians, the TO females, and who else is now the Keishanians, whatever they are. Like all these fan bases are really in existence because they really root against Tank.
That's it.
It ain't so much that they root for that guy, it's that we rooting against him.
They hate Tank more than they support their fighter, honestly.
Now, and I'm saying that, and I know this is off the stretch, but look, you got people who are talking about a possible fight with Tank and Jake Paul more than their own fighters. Devin had a fight, nobody spoke on it. Shakur got a fight coming around the corner, nobody's speaking on it.
Yeah.
But they're talking about Tank.
That goes
they're talking about a Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were saying.
No. Go ahead. Say what you was gonna say. I know what I'm about to say.
I'm just to show you, that it's more like they don't really. I don't think they really like Devin or whoever. They just hate Tank that they go with whoever is, on the other side.
In opposition, direct opposition, and he is the contemporary that they measure themselves up to. Now, I'm going to say this. So anybody on the playback that hears this and recognizes this is my own opinion. But I fully believe he named names, so I really want him to fight those names. I've been wanting to see him in the ring with them. He has to take the fight with Roach because of the way it played out. I looked at the fight again. Roach did not win that fight. He's fortunate to get a draw. Now, if you include the knee, that really makes it a draw. But I think if you don't and you just go back and watch the fight, and if you're having problems because all the sounds and the sights, slow it down, take the volume off, and then watch it at half speed. You'll see some of the greatest work being done defensively by Tank that didn't get noticed or didn't count because all you heard was, oh my God, and he's getting Tank, he's beating Tank. So it affects the way you receive what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. But if you slow it down and you watch it, take the sound away, you'll see Tank was actually parrying, catching, slipping a lot of punches that they said was landing. So because of that, he has to go back and clear that up like Mayweather had to do with a couple of his fights.
Don't worry, he's gonna knock him out in August next month. Well,
oh yeah, and you know this is the thing. This is the thing. I want to make sure because you know I've always said it because I got inside information regarding the whole situation. He was dealing with had nothing to do with the ring, and he wasn't dialed in. Even Roach at the press conference, I know what's going on. You ain't focused right now. Remember he said that the very first one.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
It's the very first press conference. He was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He said what?
I don't think I saw that one, T. That press conference. I missed that. Well,
that's because you know before a fight, Tank is always before the press conference is even coming into effect. He's tweeting. He's on social media popping his stuff right towards his opponent and about the fight. He didn't do that at all for this fight. Yeah, he barely showed up to the press conference for this fight.
I remember, yeah.
That was hecka disrespectful, but it shows you that he wasn't really dialed in. So he didn't give his best all, but this time around, he is. And you know what's happening on the flip side? Roach is acting like this is just like gonna be nothing. It's gonna be more of the same. In fact, I'm gonna knock him out. So they already formulating the reason for when Tank go out there and spark him. It was because Roach wasn't dialed in. Roach was, you know, all that other stuff. But it is that Tank is promoting. He's into the fight. Hopefully he gets into, and this is where I'm really going with it. He gets into handling the names that he said afterwards. Because I want nothing more than Shakur. And then after Shakur, since Loma's not around, if Keyshawn's going to be there, then him. If not, then you got to go up and you got to get T.O., you got to get Devin, and whomever else there. And then you can go fight Joe Blow, G.I. Joe, and Jake Pauls of the world. You can do all kind of rematches.
T.O., is Calvin back the main trainer this time or what? Or is it still the other guy?
Yeah, I think he's back in with the training. I mean, honestly, for me, the one who reached him the most to me, as far as him performing what he's saying in the ring, had been Kevin Cunningham with what they work on. I think Calvin is good for reaching him in the moment while the fight is going on. Like the person that puts together the plans, though, has always been Kenny, and Kenny don't never get no credit, but he the one that be putting everything together. So they're back together. I think that even with that, I mean, he wasn't mentally where he needed to be in the fight. I think that we saw that with Tevin Farmar. Tevin Farmar wasn't mentally dialed into that fight. And you see what happens when you're not mentally dialed into the fight. Yeah. For him, he's Tank Davis, and he was fortunate enough that he is Tank Davis, that the fight looked the way it did. It could have been a lot worse for him not being dialed in. But because he's the person that he is in the ring, it shows itself like a draw almost, so to speak.
He was able to overcome that,
But you usually you got people that step in. Deontay Wilder, look at him. He didn't step into the ring right. Look what happened to him. Somebody sparked him out. That same somebody got pretty much Peter-rolled by Cavalier. So, you know, and that was because he figured, I sparked him. I am him. And when you start getting to that point, that's when you can be the one him that's laying on that floor or sparked out. So,
You're right.
you know, you can never do that with the ring. You got to respect it, and you got to respect those who are preparing themselves for it. Look at the case in point with Bud and Spence.
Mm-hmm.
That was one person being doubted. Go ahead.
You know what, Theo? That was one of the first things Roach said in the interview right after the fight. Remember, I'm him. Remember that?
Yeah. And when you don't prepare to be him, you just say you him, you find out that you're going to be him on the floor in the ring.
No,
that's the rap.
I remember, wasn't that the press conferences when Tank was saying like boxing is trash and for boxing is
Yeah, it was that. And remember, he was also saying this, if you don't remember. Now, we know Tank can afford to live the lifestyle that he wants and for the people that he cares for, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said that's what he always wanted. He said that he would not suggest that any other child go this route. So what would make somebody tell you something that allow for you to do what you need to do for those you care for and love, to say that don't even go this route unless it's something major outside of boxing doing this to you?
Well, not only that, I mean, I've seen plenty of fighters say that to their sons. I mean, Mike Tyson is a great example. And there are many reasons, right? They know how dirty this game is, the business, the politics side, and number two, the obvious risks that come with the game. But also, I mean, I fought so you don't have to type mentality. You know, like I went through all this. Took all these punches and all this punishment and all this blood, sweat, and tears, so that you don't have to go through this. You can go to school, you can go to a sport that is less, risky, or whatever the case may be. So that they made the sacrifice so they don't have to. Sort of mentality. It's what I think.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with you, especially when it's in regards to your people. But he's talking about all kids, like even kids coming from his area. He's saying he would not encourage any child to pick up boxing. And I understand why Mike Tyson did it, because you remember the reason why certain people came into his life was because of the boxing thing. And they corrupted him from the inside. So he had a lot of stuff going in that was outside the ring as well that would affect.
Thank you very much.
He told his son straight up. I remember he said it on an interview. He told his son straight up, you don't want to, you grow up good, you know Spanish, you know how to play music. Like, you don't want to run into somebody like me, bro, because he knows the difference in mentality,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, but when you have no other recourse and you're good at this, and this can get you to the place where you do that, more times than not, you're going to glorify the fact that you were able to do this because of this opportunity. This cat saying, nah, don't even come this way. So, it's something out.
Yeah, that's true. And he's seeing it from the inside out, Did I lose everybody?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Like T Hill fellow. Yeah, that's something to think about. He's seeing it from the inside. Stuff we don't even know going on. You know what I mean?
Also, I've seen an MMA fighter. His name is Eddie Alvarez. He referenced the fact that often you get to know an opponent, and they have a wife and family also, and your job is to just fuck this dude up, excuse my language, and then you do it, and then you feel kind of fucked up, mentally. Like,
I know.
Yeah, this is what I do. I mean, it's kind of a horrible situation.
Yeah, that's true. Imagine, I was talking yesterday about the fighters that died, and then the fighter on the other side got to live with that, man.
Exactly.
Woo.
Exactly, and that's man, that's fucked up, rough, bro. For your psychology, bro, that's pretty terrible. And you gotta have this mentality, bro. You gotta turn yourself. You gotta basically turn yourself into an animal, bro.
I know. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. You gotta be able to attack.
It's
Like
one thing
those-
when you're like it's one thing if you zone in for any other sport, you know, because you're trying to score the basket or a touchdown or whatever the case may be. But this is zoning into just
the hurt
you
game.
know damage somebody, you know. And
Yeah.
why
Like
would you want your son to
do this?
or
I
daughter
wouldn't.
to do this? Like
If that's what I did, I would say the same thing. No, like you said, I made this money so you don't have to do this.
to be honest with you, I would like my son, daughter, whatever, when I have them to do it for a couple of years just for the knowledge and self-defense and what have you. But
Yeah.
but like turning pro, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say no, but man, like I'll be like, damn, you know.
Fernando Vargas said that. You know, he got 3 sons. It's 3, right? Fernando Vargas. Don't he have 3 sons pros? Or the 2? 2 or 3. But he said he told his sons he didn't want them to be boxers, but he said they did it because they wanted it themselves so bad. But he said he was against it, you know. But they wanted to do it so bad, he just, you know, went along with it.
Makes sense, you know, and if they want to do it, bro, let them do it, you know,
Yeah. Right.
you know, let's see what happens. But man, it's kind of
He got
like
3, right?
it's not
Fernando,
the same
he
thing.
got 3 sons boxing.
Three sons, yeah,
Yeah.
Emiliano Vargas, Amado Vargas, and Fernando Vargas Jr.
Right.
And,
Yeah, 3.
it's not the same thing, but it's kind of like if they want to join the army or something like that. I mean, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it, but like understand what's at stake here. You know, understand
right.
what can happen to you.
Yeah.
Like, because on one end you can make all this money, you can get these belts, this notoriety, and this fame. Just like in the army, you can get all these benefits and this and that. But on the other hand, I mean, you know, right?
What's up, Ant? Say it again if I on.
I mean, on one end, you can get this all these belts and money and notoriety and fame and what have you and chicks and whatever. But on the other hand, you're probably not going to be the same.
You can lose your life.
Yeah, you're probably not going to be the same one way or the other. You know, one way or the other, you're probably not going to be.
Yeah. You know, I read an article, man. I think I talked about it on the show. Every 100% of boxers suffer dementia pugilistica. Pugilistica dementia. Some at different levels, but 100% suffers from it after
to a degree, because people equate dementia pugilistica to 100%. The extreme case. You know, to the extreme case of Benitez or McClellan, but no, I mean. There are levels and differences, and you are going to lose some memory. I saw Tony Bellew once with Simon Jordan talking about like a pro boxer's career will span, and statistically speaking, you are going to take over 1 million shots to the head between sparring and fighting, and they calculated that. I think it was a 20-year career, you know, from amateur all the way up to, you know, if you get to the top and what have you, right? Like a 25-year career, a boxer will take an average 1 million and then some shots to the head alone. So, I mean, the human body is not meant for that. If you wanna really get down to it, the human body is not made to how do you say, withstand that.
The brain is in the head. You know, it's not meant to be put on like that, man. You know,
like just we're not designed for this shit. We just love it.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Like the human body, like you look all the way the land. Like you look at a bear or certain creatures are made for fighting. Human body's not one of them, bro.
No.
Let's be real. But yeah.
You know, they say sparring, you take more punishment in sparring than you do the actual fight.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%, because in sparring, since you were in the headgear, that can give you since I sparred before, I can tell you, like, you can have a false sense of security with a headgear on, you know.
I'll give you a perfect example too. Like Willie Pep, one of the greatest defensive boxers of all time, died from dementia pugilistica. Whereas in sparring, he working on stuff he might take more shots in sparring than he would in a fight where he's going to prevent the fighter from hitting him. But in sparring, he might permit shots to get through and stuff, you know?
Exactly.
All that counts.
Exactly.
So,
And
yeah,
if you're, let's say that I'm sparring you, right, and you're getting ready for a title shot or whatever. And since we're working on stuff, that part of working on stuff is putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. What I mean by that is, you might tell me, you might go ahead to the corner and say, you know, I'm gonna pin me in the corner and just wail on me so I can prepare myself for that situation. You know, so that, but you're not gonna do that in the fight. You just wanna get prepared for the situation. So I might nail you with 5-6 shots that your opponent isn't going to. You know,
that you won't take in the fight, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah,
absolutely. And James Toney is a great example. James Toney, what messed him up really was sparring. That's well documented. It wasn't the fight.
He was a good defensive fighter too, you know.
Yeah, he just did so much sparring, bro. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But we love it though. it's
man.
Rough, you know? And they make a lot of money doing it, so you know. But yeah, it's a rough sport, man. The roughest of them all.
You gotta take the good with the bad, you know.
That's true.
You know
that's so true.
All the way up to this kid that just got whacked by Brian Norman, Jin Sasaki. He lost part of his memory. He couldn't remember the knockout, the fight. He couldn't remember a bunch of things, bro. Like that. This is real shit, bro.
Everybody know what they're signing up for, though. You don't just get in there and fight. You got to sign papers and stuff before every fight. Every boxer. What they call that form?
Yeah, not only that, in the gyms, you have to sign waivers, especially if you're going to do sparring. They make you sign a piece of paper, basically to prevent you from suing them if something happens.
So it's all voluntary, so, you know, we don't make it no better, but it's all voluntary. So you know what you're signing up for.
Because if you don't sign that and then you get fucked up in there, you might say that you got duped. Because I got duped, bro. That's one thing that I hated about some people in boxing here is that they'll tell you, oh, this guy is a beginner, this guy, you know, first or second sparring, and then you, I mean, surely enough, you find out that's not the case. And I hated that, you know, like often people will do that. People will come to me, oh, be easy on him, he's just beginner, and then pop, boom, bam, you just wailing on me, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see.
You find out in there in the ring.
Man, they'll pull a lot of shit on you.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I don't believe him anymore. Anytime somebody tells me this dude is beginner, I'm like, yeah, whatever, bro. Just ring the bell.
You still spar?
Like, I haven't done it in a while, but I'm not going to get back at it.
Okay, when the last time you've been in a sparring session?
A few months ago.
Really? Okay, so recently. Yeah. Okay. I did not know that.
That was one, bro. They were telling me, oh no, this and that, and bro, it was like I'm sparring the Keith Colon or somebody like that. I'm like, what the fuck is this, bro? Like,
yeah. And they putting you in a situation that could be dangerous, you know.
Absolutely, because in my mind, I'm gonna just have some, you know, I'm gonna take it easy, maybe jab him here and there, and whatever, because they're telling me that this dude has been boxing for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, whatever the case may be. but you know, you can't tell me that dude putting combinations like that, because he doesn't have less than 2 years. Trust me on that.
Yeah, and they chose you a couple of months. Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's fucked
What's up, Ant?
And the Queen.
What's up, Ant? I thought I brought Ant up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hit my blender. Chilling, man. I was just over here enjoying the conversation. Figured I'd join in.
Yeah.
And Define Irony made a great point about the headgear and the shots that you be willing to take. And I think another thing too to take into consideration is that the gloves. Gloves. Folks always talk about, that was with headgear and 16-ounce gloves on. Yeah, but the gloves aren't necessarily designed to protect the opponent. It's to protect the
That's
puncher's
another
hands.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yep. So all that, man. That's why they say that about sparring. They say you take the most punishment. What you think about that, Ant?
Yeah, I saw Roy Jones talking to Jimmy Ellis. Well, Roy Jones was talking about a conversation he had with Jimmy Ellis, and Jimmy Ellis
Yeah.
told him to be careful in sparring and focus more on
Mhm.
technical work because he had sustained more damage in sparring than he did
Mm.
in fights.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, the Maravilla, one of my favorite fighters ever, Maravilla Martinez, his trainer, Juan Sarmiento, he was very outspoken with the fact that he didn't do almost any sparring with Maravilla Martinez. And the reason why is, well, the reason that he gave I found interesting because he said that the reason why was for him to be as hungry and for the fight itself as possible, because sparring can, too much sparring can what I'm trying to say is that too much sparring, then at the moment of the fight, like your fight gets beaten out of you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not sure if I'm saying this correct.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. It happened with Anthony Joshua. It happened with Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz. You know, he went through this rigorous training in preparation for Jarrell Miller. Then they get swapped out at the last moment. But from my understanding, Anthony Joshua, he got hurt really badly in sparring. Same thing happened with Chad Dawson. Shout out to TD Sports Talk. He had, what's my man's name? John Scully, the Iceman. He had him on there. And John Scully, he was in Chad Dawson's camp for a number of years. Come to find out, he was in there going through gym wars with Edison Miranda at the time, and Edison Miranda was like a really big puncher.
Yeah.
He ended up knocking Chad Dawson out of sparring. And word got around, Andre Ward, he was abreast of this information. He whispered in his ear during the face-off, "Hey, I heard about what happened in sparring." And then boom, the psychological edge that he may have had was just gone. And by he, I'm talking about Chad Dawson. To a Define Irony's point, like the fight had literally got beaten out of him in the gym. So then by the time he was under the lights, the dude was, you know, as they say, the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Right. Perfect example of that.
Leave everything in the gym. You know, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Same thing could be said with the physical preparation and overtraining too. You know, doing too much, you be overtrained. Now you're flat.
That's right.
I guess it's a tough thing to find like that balance or how much is needed for this particular style that we're facing as opposed to this other, or whatever the case, or if it's a southpaw, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of moving pieces, you know, that help that decision. You know, it's not as simple as, oh, we spar twice a week, and that's it. You know, it depends, because if you've never fought somebody with the pendulum style, for example, or if you've never fought a southpaw or whatever, you know, you want to up that a little bit, maybe one more, maybe not. I don't know. Like, what's what I'm saying?
I think it would vary. You know.
Yeah, it depends on who's in front of us, you know, and how's our fighter doing,
or where you're at your career, you know, stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
I would think. You know, like an older fighter. I don't know. I guess he wouldn't want to spar as much. I guess, you know.
Yeah, and if the mileage is high, you know, it depends. It may not have to be old in age, but it just can be like you're going through back-to-back wars, you know, like and stuff like that. So yeah.
Perfect example of that in recent times is my man Sonny Edwards. He got old overnight. Guy didn't even hit 30, and he was in back-to-back. I mean, he had that fight with Ben Rodriguez, got his eye broken up, and then he was in there with Yafai after that. That was rigorous, and then my man just retired after that. And then also, from my understanding, outside of the ring, he's smoking cigarettes and stuff. So, burning the candle at both ends, taking tough fights and not necessarily taking care of the vessel.
Give itself, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great that you brought that up, and because I remember in the lead up to the Bam Rodriguez fight, he said it himself. It's like, what I think separates me is that I do so much sparring. And I remember hearing that, and I'm like, man, I'm not so sure that's a good thing, bro. Like I remember thinking that just off the rip, right? Because I don't remember how many times he said he sparred, but it's a lot. And that's a perfect example, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looked worn down. He looked way older than 27. The night he fought Bam. He looked damn near like an old man.
Is that all he was then? 27?
Yeah, he retired at 28, Cass. He just retired a few months ago.
I'm thinking like 30 something. Wow.
No, sir. He's a young man. But
yeah,
I think that's a great observation too, to find irony, like just gym wars. And there was that great clip of Angel Garcia circulating. I know a lot of people are hot and cold on him because they felt like he was trying to live vicariously through Danny or what have you. But he was talking about Danny not being a sparring partner. He's like, that's how he was able to preserve him over the course of the years, and he was able to perform in those high level fights. Look at all the guys he's fought over the years. Matisse, Mauricio Herrera, he was in there with like Errol Spence,
Porter.
You know what I mean? But he was saying if he had him in gym wars, he wouldn't have been able to be preserved like that. He said, we are not sparring partners. we are not the guys to call in if you're trying to get working. We do not do that. And then he had mentioned Abner Mares. If I'm not mistaken, Abner Mares, that's why his career virtually got put on ice. He was one of those guys having a lot of gym wars, and his eyes got messed up. That's why every time you see Abner Mares, he always got sunglasses on.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, he was seeing. He was talking about he was seeing spots, and his wife had advised him and convinced him to finally go get it checked out. He damn near lost his eyes, but a lot of it had to do with sparring, man. Like just all that hard sparring, accrued eye injuries in the gym. Now he's sitting down commentating, and like I said, every time you see him, he's got those sunglasses on, so he probably has some issues with like light sensitivity and things of that sort. But
he's still not that old either.
He's not. He's not old at all.
Nope.
I'll say one more thing about the headgear. That headgear is a double-edged sword, because I remember, like, first of all, two things, right? The two bad things. The headgear, first of all, sparring partners get way more head happy when they have the headgear on.
Yeah.
Like they will lead with their head in ways that I'm like, what the, like when you can tell it's like just blatant stuff, right? That they will do it over, at least in my experience, over and over and over again. That pisses the hell out of me. And also another thing that they would do is they would throw their lead hand, the more experienced ones, the more crafty ones. They would extend their lead hand and do it like as if they're probing your guard or taking out your vision. And what they're really freaking doing is pulling your headgear down so they can impair your vision, and then they'll blast the shit out of you, bro. I had that done to me so many times, bro. That's like that headgear is a double-edged sword, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. You would know.
That's a great point too. You see what happened with Tyson Fury in preparation for Usyk. The fight had to get postponed because the sparring partner made a dirty move. That looked very intentional though. Hit him with an elbow through the head. He had headgear on too. He ended up splitting him open, and they had to postpone the fight.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. That was Usyk 1, I think.
Yeah, the first one. That delayed.
For whatever reason, though, folks have this idea that headgear and 16-ounce gloves, it feels like just getting hit with pillows or something.
That's not the case, bro. Trust me.
No,
but from afar, it looks that way. But from afar, to the naked eye, the casual eye, or the simple eye, it looks that way. It looks like, man, those gloves, and then they feel the padding. Yeah, go ahead and get hit with the right hand with one of those.
And then one thing you would also have to figure is that there's more pressure too. because of the weight. I mean, 16 ounces is a pound.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So you're definitely gonna feel less knuckle and things of that sort, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more weight.
That,
A little
that,
bit more
that's
weight.
more for that's more for the heavy bag, I would say. Like 16 or 18 ounce gloves. It's more to protect yourself as you're hitting the heavy bag
Mm-hmm.
more than it is for sparring, like not hurting the opponent. Because
Okay.
I mean, you just explained it brilliantly. You know, there's a lot more weight behind those punches, and so that applies to me more to working on a heavy bag, especially a heavy bag. Whereas you can really mess up your hand, as opposed to sparring. You know, sparring is more to protect your hands than anything else.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think people just tend to think of those. You ever see those little inflatable gloves they used to have back in the days? What do they call them? Sock 'em boppers.
Like,
They used to
yeah,
be a
yeah.
thing. You can get them at like a toy store. They used to call them sock 'em boppers, and you can inflate them, put them on your hands, and just punch each other with them. I think that's what a lot of people think 16-ounce gloves feel like.
Nah.
I wish, bro. I wish that was the case. Goes to show you, man. Goes to show you how little people actually know about this thing. Like, just never ceases to boggle my mind, because this sport is so deceptively complex. What I mean by that is that if you're just looking at it, like, it's the simplest thing ever. It is. But when you're really looking at it, it's the most complex thing you'll ever look at in your life, bro. Like,
yeah.
it's chess with violence. What's happening inside that ring is called chess with violence, bro. That's what's really happening. It's not two dudes just seeing who's the one standing, who's the one not standing. It's literally chess with violence. And
Yeah.
chess in how do you call it when it's less than a second?
High level chess.
Exactly.
You talking about like blitz?
No, high level chess in like how do you say décima de segundo, like half a second, like let's say that I'm trying to say I don't know the word in English, it's high level chess at a crazy pace, and you have
Generally they call it blitz. Like that's a style of chess. It's called blitz, where you got to make those super quick moves and it's on the clock.
Oh yeah,
Right.
exactly. Thank you. And you're doing a blitz chess, and you're making decisions in less than a second, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah, you got to make your decisions, then you got to react to your opponent. You know, it's like seconds, faster than that. You know, immediately. It's a tough sport.
1000%, man. 1000%. And then there's just so many other little factors too. Like the past couple of months, I've been obsessing just over technique. Just obsessing over it and just realizing how much of a part it plays at the highest level, especially.
Yeah.
Especially. But mainly with the feet. Because when we think about footwork, it's generally in the sense of just mobility. Like who can move around. But to me, when I think about footwork, the primary thing is, foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It is your base. And the guy or gal, because we got ladies out here doing their thing.
Yeah.
But the ones that can break their base less frequently, they generally do a better job of being able to attack and maintain enough space and have enough leverage in the event that they need to evade something and fire back with something.
Explain that, Ant. Break your base.
All right, so I guess the best way I could do it is to cam up, right? I'm gonna cam up.
Yeah.
So Where can I put this? I'll put this right here. All right, so now you know when you throw in the right hand, right?
Right.
See the jab, you can just, can you see me like my full body?
Yeah, I can see. I can see your whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you throw a jab, you can boom from right here. Then generally, when you want to throw your backhand, turn at the waist and get the boom, follow through. Now, a lot of what happens, you see my feet, I'm still in my stance. Now, if I were to overreach and overextend and throw like this, boom, now I'm squared up.
Oh.
I can't defend myself.
Now you don't
and I'm
broke your
falling
base.
in. I broke my base. But if I just throw it like this, boom, I'm still in position. And then whatever's coming back, I slip, I can roll, I can boom, step back.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have more options now. But if I throw that right hand and I'm falling in and I'm breaking my base and my back foot comes forward, now I'm in a precarious position. I'm damn near in no man's land.
Yeah.
And I'm at the mercy of my opponent's IQ, my opponent's ability to recognize this flaw and take advantage of it. Like I'm just at their mercy, and I just gotta just hope that they just don't light me up.
So you said the one that can operate without breaking their base would had the most success, right?
Yes.
More often than not, yes.
Okay, right.
Because chances are you are gonna break your base no matter what. But who can be more disciplined in that regard? You know, generally the one that.
Beautifully put, Define out of you. Who can be more disciplined? Because it's gonna happen at times. But here's the other thing too: is just having the awareness. Because you got some guys where they'll do things like, for example, even Floyd Mayweather, you see him break his base, or Andre Ward or somebody like that, B-Hop. Those guys know what they're doing. So when they're breaking their base, they're putting some type of defensive measure. They're applying some sort of defensive measure. Like they might fall in and smother, and then force a clinch or something like that, or they might roll underneath. Because they know they're putting themselves in a bad spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome right there. Yep.
But you got other guys where they're not as aware. Like a guy like Oscar Duarte. Like Oscar Duarte is dangerous because he can punch, he's strong. The guy's like an ox, and he just comes forward. But he puts himself in a lot of bad positions.
Yeah.
In a lot of bad positions.
How about Navarrete?
Oh man, that's a great example from both of you guys. Duarte and Navarrete. I was about to say Tio, but Navarrete is, oh my goodness, the textbook example of it. He breaks his base every 10 seconds. Right? I'm exaggerating, but you know.
No, I think you're pretty close. I think you're pretty spot on with that. And I think some of what happens with Navarrete is it's punch selection with him. There's sometimes where he's so far out.
Yeah.
And he's got a nice reach on him. I'm like, why doesn't he throw a straight punch here? Instead, he'll throw an uppercut from the range. He should probably be firing a jab, and then this causes him to fall in.
Right.
And then when he's in close, when he should be throwing the uppercut or throwing something more compact, then he's throwing a straight punch like a jab or a cross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
sometimes
just how he fights, I guess.
I like him, but sometimes I find it a bit. I don't know if I should use this word, but I find it a bit painful to watch him fight sometimes. I'm like, bro, it's a matter of time before you're gonna get booked with one of his mistakes, bro.
He keeps winning. He lost to Berinchyk, I think, but other than that,
I mean, if you he does win, but if you really look at it, he goes. Here's my thing with Vaquero Navarrete. To me, he goes into unnecessary wars.
Yeah.
What I mean by that
is
he has had some real tough fights which in my opinion shouldn't be that tough. And I go right to the Liam Wilson fight, you know? And Liam Wilson is really good. Like all respect to him and he's a rock solid B- C+ level fighter, maybe C-, I don't know. Yeah. But he had a really badly fucked. I'm sorry for my language. Yeah, really badly fucked up. You know, like really badly hurt. You know, in that fight. And that's what I mean. Like I don't mind you having issues with Denis Berinchyk, but there's some dudes that if you were a bit more disciplined in your approach, or maybe just work on a few stuff, you shouldn't be in that much of a predicament.
Okay, I mean
with certain people. Okay. You know, and that's no disrespect to Liam Wilson. Okay, I want to make that clear. You know. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, especially just given the physical attributes, that should have been a far easier fight for him. But once again, this is Navarrete we talking about,
Right.
man. Vaquero.
Exactly
They
it.
call him the cowboy for a reason, man. This
Yeah.
guy's he's a gambler, like
Yeah.
with his punch selection and then also just with his technique. Just everything is he's just throwing caution to the wind. And however it goes down is how it's gonna go down. But it doesn't
Right.
have to be that way. So I'm with you. That's the thing that's frustrating. As entertaining as he is to watch, as a boxer fan, it's equally frustrating because it's like, yo, it doesn't have to be this hard, man.
Right.
It doesn't.
Because by having all these fights that should be on a 6 scale of hard, going all the way to 8 or 9 level of difficulty, then when you get the real tough ones, you're probably gonna underperform, bro, because that's gonna take something out of you. It's going to. So there's that side of it too.
That's true. Yeah.
If he gets into a fight with Lamont Roach or who's the other, Ochaki and
Raymond Ford. Didn't Raymond Ford up in
Ray
there?
Ford, yeah, that's the other
Yeah.
Ray Ford. Like
Yeah.
they may clean you out, not necessarily because you don't deserve to be there, but because you have all these previous wars and you know
Conceição had good success against him, remember? That fight?
Yeah, he did.
that's another great example.
Mm-hmm.
So did Charlie Suarez, low key.
Yep, sure did.
Yes,
And he got robbed in that fight because it should have been a TKO.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
it should
agree.
have been. Yeah.
because of the cut, but they had ruled it a headbutt. Then the state commission went back and reviewed it, and they determined it was a punch.
I know.
But in that fight, man, he was taking a lot of unnecessary shots because you're the younger guy, you're the taller guy, the longer guy. You should be able to just box smart, but that ain't him. He's the cowboy for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was on his way to losing that one. Yeah.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would like to see them run that one back.
I think they're gonna run it again.
Oh, good.
I heard something
Good.
about that. but
Good. Yeah, that would be the thing to do. Yeah.
That's the right thing. Well, the actual right thing to do is to give Charlie the W, but that's the next bit, right?
Yeah, run it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Immediately. Immediate rematch.
Yeah, because the more time you give to this thing, then one of them is gonna lose, and
Somebody.
then
That's right.
I mean, I'm sick of that.
You
know,
never
I'm
get
sick
it
of that.
again. Yeah.
That's why I'm telling people, if it is gonna happen, it's gonna happen now. Not to change the
Right.
topic, but like Fury Joshua, make the fight straight up. I don't care. Make it straight up. Don't because, bro, how many times have we had this?
Yeah,
we were gonna do
100 years
AJ,
after we should have had it.
yeah, we were gonna do AJ Wilder, and then Ruiz messed that up, and then they were gonna do Fury Joshua, and Usyk messed that up. Like, bro, like, just do it straight up, bro.
Good point. Yeah, Usyk stepped in and messed that one up, didn't he?
Yeah, they both lost to Usyk, bro. Like, there it is right there. Like, let's just
Yeah.
see who's the best.
He told me, yeah, both of them lost to him. Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. But not really, because it's Usyk. What y'all think about? Then we're gonna Usyk and what's the
Dubois?
Dubois in the rematch.
Yeah, what about that one? What y'all think about that one? Usyk and Dubois. Usyk?
And you want to go first? Or?
I'll let you take the lead.
I got a bad feeling about this fight, and okay, so I'm not gonna go into the controversy of the low blow, if was it low, was it lead.
Yeah, that's old news. Yeah,
I don't want to get to the weeds there.
But
Dubois is like 27 or 28,
right?
And he's a savage, bro. He just came from blowing AJ out of the water, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think he done got a lot better since the first Usyk fight too.
Yes. and he's had some bumps in the road, the Joe Joyce fight and whatever. But that's ancient history. But what I'm saying here is, Usyk is getting up there, bro. He's really getting up there. He's achieved everything. I don't know why he's taking this fight. I understand that he got stripped and whatever, and he wants to be undisputed again. I understand that. But this is a young, hungry lion that's getting better, that has a chin on him.
Let me ask you this, Define on. You think Usyk that talk about the low blower being really a legal shot is, you think that has something to do with him taking it?
I hope not. I hope it doesn't, because that to me is not good enough, because he just pieced him up after that.
After that, that's right.
But I think it has more to do with the fact that the IBF? I think it was the IBF that stripped him.
Yeah.
And Dubois is the champion, and he wants to be undisputed again.
Okay.
Honestly, in my opinion, I've said this from the get-go, Usyk should have retired the second he beat Fury the second time.
Mm-hmm.
He should have retired, because there's nothing more for him to accomplish. Yeah, I remember I told you that, and there's nothing left for you to accomplish. We've achieved everything in 2 different divisions, and just go ahead and retire, be a ghost, and be a legend, bro. But he's doing it again, and I don't know, man. I'm rooting for Usyk. I got Usyk by UD. Final prediction, but I do have a bad feeling, because Dubois, bro, is entering his prime, and he's coming with all the
confidence. Yeah,
he's the heir apparent as far as UK heavyweight. I mean, outside of Moses and Tama, obviously, but he's the heir apparent. Like he's the dude. So yeah, I'll finish with that one.
Okay. What you got on it, Ant? On this?
I'm in full agreement. I'm in full agreement. And for me, I don't think that Dubois has gotten so much better from a technical standpoint.
Right.
I believe he's gotten better because he's answered some things about himself. And that's a great callback that Define Irony made about the Joe Joyce fight, because that's where a lot of the skepticism started with him. Because first, Dubois was just smoking everybody, and he was appropriately named Dynamite because he's just punching guys out their shoes and socks. But then he gets to Joe Joyce, he suffers the eye injury, and then apparently quits. That's the way it looked to everybody. Then he became dubbed a quitter.
Right.
And then in the fight with Usyk, after the controversy, all of that settled, I gotta agree with Define Irony once again. He didn't do anything after that. There was just 4 straight rounds of him just getting his butt whooped. That's what it came down to. It was like, if you're just gonna be relying on just one shot, then man, Godspeed. Because I'll say this about Alexander Usyk. There were a lot of questions about him moving up to heavyweight due to his size. He's going to be too small up there. And you've seen the fights that he had. But the one that he had with Chisora, he didn't look comfortable at all. Chisora put all kind of pressure on him and had him moving around the ring. And seldom do you see Usyk fight on the back foot like that.
Very seldom.
You don't see it. You don't see it. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even train that way. I was watching a video about his training regimen. When they spar, right?
Yeah.
They do 4-minute rounds. They do 4-minute rounds.
Wow.
And a round doesn't count if his back touches the rope. If his back touches the ropes, they reset the clock.
Wow.
And start the round over.
Right there and start it over.
Yep. That's how adamant his coach is about
going back.
Not just going back, but also just commanding the center of the ring.
Okay.
And ring generalship. That is extremely important. That is a high point of emphasis for his coach. So I said to say this. Waiting to just rely on just one shot against this dude. This guy's been in there 24 rounds with Anthony Joshua, who we know this guy can punch. People can say whatever they want about him. He's soft. He's this, that, and the third. No, the guy can punch. Guy's a terrific puncher.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury is a very, very big man, close to 300 pounds. Is he Ernie Shavers? No, but this is heavyweight, and that guy can punch. And you see some of the other
He did 24 rounds too, right?
I think you got cut off, Cam.
Yeah.
Oh, am I back? Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah, you back.
So yeah, I had to say this. The guy is very, very sturdy, and the likelihood of getting him up out of there with one shot.
Nah.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but that may be the most underrated aspect of Alexander Usyk is his ability to take a punch. So I tie that all in and go back to Define Irony's point about the way the fight proceeded after the controversy.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even close.
Mm-mm. No, it was a beating. One-sided
It was a
beating.
beating. But I do believe that a lot of that had to do with Daniel Dubois' self-doubt at the moment. Because that kind of cemented that quitter label that he had earned up until that point. Because you got the Joe Joyce fight, which I don't even blame the guy for getting up out of there. Your eyes are nothing to play with. And from my understanding, it was a very gruesome injury, and he damn near lost his career behind that.
Yeah, he
He
had
had to get surgery and everything.
Yeah, he had just real quick. He had a broken. I saw Don Charles, his trainer, say that he had it was either a broken eye socket or a broken orbital bone. So I was just about to say that people that say the Q word on the back of that, bro, they either haven't done the research or they're just, man, that's a low thing to say. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. I'm in agreement with you once again. Listen, man. If I got my orbital bone broken or my eye socket broken, you're fighting against a guy like Joe Joyce, who at the time, this guy had so much momentum. Another guy, huge puncher.
Mm-hmm.
And from my understanding, they say when when your orbital floor breaks like that, not only is your vision compromised in the eye, but now it's doubled. Yeah. So could you imagine seeing a 4-arm Joe Joyce? Like, that's not the place to be, especially at that point in time. You got all the momentum going against you. He did the right thing. And then he almost had to retire behind that. He had to get it surgically repaired. Mm-hmm. So I said to say this. Fast forward to the Usyk fight. The second half of the fight plays out the way it does. He gets hit with like a jab or something like that and just takes the knee and allows himself to be counted out.
Yeah.
But since then, the guy has been seemingly ice cold. The fight that he had with Hrgovic was a hell of a fight. Hrgovic was landing some really good right hands in there.
Yes.
But Dubois did not waver this time. And I think that once he got through that,
I'm sorry, bro. It's just that you make such great points, and I just think something in my head, but I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, man.
Just real quick, that to me, the Hrgovic fight, to me was his how do I put this? Like I graduated type fight.
Coming out party.
Yes, like that was the fight because he took some heavy. You're absolutely right.
Heavy shots.
Oh man, like Hrgovic was pretty much having his way for a while there, and that was the fight where I was like, oh, okay, he's now I know for sure that he's for real, you know, and yeah.
That's exactly how I felt watching that fight, because it's not like he went out there and outboxed Hrgovic. He wasn't slipping and sliding, moving and grooving. It wasn't this graceful performance. He didn't outclass him. He just outwilled him. He took his best shots, but Hrgovic couldn't take his best shots.
Bingo.
I feel the same way about the Anthony Joshua fight. When you look at him, Anthony Joshua, the carpet is pretty much rolled out for him. That's supposed to be the coronation. We're going to get him another championship, the IBF title, and more than likely line up the trilogy with him and Usyk for Undisputed. It's over 90-something thousand people in there, but AJ looked far more nervous than Daniel Dubois did. Daniel Dubois looked ice cold, but he looked like he didn't even know that he was supposed to be nervous. He was just unflappable. He was just unflappable. And then just watching that fight, once again, from a technical standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, he didn't reinvent the wheel. He did. He worked beautifully behind his jab. Though. I will say that he came out, he established his jab off the rip. He was fantastic with that. But even in the moment where he knocked AJ out, where he finally stopped him, he was getting caught with some nasty ass right hands, man. AJ caught him with about 2 or 3 of them consecutively. Had him backing up, stumbling to the corner.
Absolutely.
But he didn't panic. So I think that Daniel Dubois has gotten so much better mentally.
Mentally, okay.
Yeah, just staying poised. Because from a technical standpoint, he hasn't done anything new. He's not showing any new wrinkles. But to Define Irony's point, he's young, he's strong, and he's in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
His prime. And for me, the prime is when the physical meets the mental and they're on one accord. I don't think he's going to get much better from a technical standpoint. I just don't see it happening. But physically, he's got more than enough. So then you combine that with just great mental fortitude and tenacity. Like I was just watching a documentary the other day about Rocky Marciano.
Mm-hmm.
And they said everything about this man. He got stooped shoulders, he got 2 left feet, and he's balding.
Yeah.
But the guy was just mentally just unshakable, and it was just super determined.
Right.
And I think that's what we could possibly have here with a guy like Daniel Dubois. He may never be as light on his toes as Muhammad Ali, or the jab may never be as picturesque as Larry Holmes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He may not ever be as fundamentally sound as like a guy like Riddick Bowe, but the dude is he's an absolute specimen of a man. And he just seems very determined right now, just dogged. I'm not sure if you guys seen the training videos, but he's looking like he's in phenomenal shape right now.
No, I haven't
See
seen
this?
it.
Remember that's the book that I have on Marciano. And
Okay.
actually when he started boxing, people were making fun of him at the gym, bro. Like literally making fun of him. They were saying that he was never gonna amount to anything because it's funny as that sounds right now. But yeah, like Rocky Marciano is one of the most Cinderella-like stories you'll ever hear in boxing history, bro. Trust me on that. I'm sorry, Ann. You were saying something about something else. I just had to show the book because I heard you reference Rocky Marciano.
I don't know who that was that came up.
Hold on, I got to see that book one more time. Let me see that.
What's up, Libya, Africa?
Yo, listen, bro. Marciano was underrated, bro. That guy was
absolutely.
He was one-on-one, bro.
You see clearly, Ant?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, how are you, Libya, Africa?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I just got back to the UK. Like I've been living abroad for like 6 years, and like I got back to the UK 2 days ago. So I'm good, man. I just thought I'd want to come up here and talk a bit of boxing, like just flip the fucking switch. You know what I mean? Keep it real. But yeah, man. Like, thanks.
My wife's giving me signals.
Get.
She want me to go to the store.
Can I ask you something about the UK?
2 o'clock every day, though.
Can I ask you something about the UK, sir? I don't know what was his name. I'm sorry.
Libya, Africa. Right? Libya.
Yeah. Tell me, bro. Tell me, bro.
Do you guys want to see Fury Joshua?
It's kind of not really much of a fight now. Not really. I don't think it would get much traction, to be fair. No. It's kind of both done. So no. No. That's my honest opinion. Like, I don't think it's that big a fight here anymore. I think the AJ fight against Wilder's big. I think the Fury fight against AJ is big, but I don't think it's that big now. Like,
The AJ Wilder
listen,
is bigger than Fury Wilder right now.
I think in terms of like as a proper fight,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a proper fight. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? That there's going to be a grudge between them, but I don't think AJ and Fury really hate each other because they speak to each other on the phone and he's kind of his mate. But I do think that AJ against Wilder would be a bigger fight. But also, Wilder's not really said anything nasty about AJ, and AJ's not really got any beef with Wilder, so that's not really a fight either. I think it's all long dead, bro. I think the Wilder thing died a long time ago.
That's the sell-by date, yeah.
I'm with you on the Wilder thing, but AJ Fury, I would think, or I would like to think, that still has some interest because I don't think they
does.
Yeah.
AJ Fury.
Yeah, because I don't think
It's not.
The Wilder is, they still got some left. I would like to think that. I don't know.
It'll sell out. Yeah, it will sell out. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it will sell and make tickets, but I don't think people really care who wins. That's all I'll say about it. There's not much emotional. Yeah, I think most people like Fury and they like AJ in the UK. So, and there's not really the racism thing in the UK. It's been getting worse, but it's not as bad as America. So you're not gonna get the race thing between them two here as you would do in the United States, bro.
Understood.
So
Right, but,
yeah.
But do you think it has like an Amir Khan and Kell Brook type of feeling where it's happening way too late?
Yeah, 100% right. That is a great insight. This fight should have happened. You're right. Listen,
2007.
that is a real respect to that comment because this fight should have happened in 2017. You're just taking the words out of my mouth. Should have happened maybe 8 years ago, bro.
At least.
Honestly, if they did it, I'd be interested, bro. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fanboy in me or whatever, but I think let's see who's the best in the
It's a great fight.
Like, do this, I mean,
Well,
that's just me, obviously.
Let me ask you this. You know what you were saying a little while ago, Define Arnie? Now, Libya, Africa, if Usyk hadn't beat Bob,
Yeah.
you think it still would have been a good fight? I mean, attractive fight?
I'm kind of not majorly up. Like I know more about British boxing than most people that you will get on here. For instance, there's the Castro fight against Harlem Eubank. I know everything there is to know about British boxing, but I've not really lived in England for the last 6 years. I've only been back here 2 weeks in the UK. I'm more interested in this Canelo fight against Crawford, bro. This is the main vein, bro. Listen, this Canelo Crawford fight, this is what it's about, and it's either gonna be a run job like Hagler Leonard, and I had Hagler winning that. I had Hagler winning that 10 rounds to 2, bro. How did Leonard win that fight? And I'm gonna say another thing. If Crawford runs in that fight and gets a decision, I'm not going to be rolling with it, bro, because Tio's called him out. You've had Boots calling him out. Listen, you've even had Devin Haney calling out Crawford. So you're stepping up 3 weight classes and stuff like that. But listen, he's going to have to deliver. It's do or die for him, bro.
Yeah.
If he does a Frank Martin, yeah. If Crawford does a Frank Martin against Canelo, that's going to go down bad. He has to go for the knockout. Crawford has to dare to be great. He has to go for the KO, bro. If he tries if he tries to outsmart Canelo and shit, he's gonna get cornered. That guy didn't. Bivol didn't even drop him. So, you know, this is my view as a worldwide boxing fan, not an English fan. I'm like an African worldwide boxing fan. That's my view.
I disagree with a few things you said, but I am interested in Canelo, but Crawford. What else? What else was he? What else? Man, you said something else that I wanted to address, but I forgot now. Never mind.
No, listen. He's listen. I don't hate Crawford, but his best win is against Victor Postol, and that guy. That's years ago. He beat up Amir Khan, who got knocked out from Canelo. Then he beat Kell Brook, who got knocked out from GGG. Then he beat Spence. He beat Spence, who was washed up after his car crash. Then Porter's dad threw the towel in that fight. Porter wasn't even hurt in the Bud fight. And then his last fight was a joke. All I'm saying is, Crawford's gonna. I just think it was like the guy was overrated. The Madrimov guy, I didn't rate him, bro.
Well, we can say that now because he lost to Virgil Ortiz, but I'm not so sure about that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just think like you lost to Virgil Ortiz, who had he has like a shoulder injury when he fought Madrimov, like Gamboa did. Like early in his career, and Haney had it as well. Haney couldn't knock out Gamboa; he had a shoulder injury. Like Virgil Ortiz post up, so you could argue that Madrimov was washed as well because he lost that fight. So the way I look at it, I don't think Crawford's got anything on his resume that Canelo has to worry about, bro. I'm deadly serious about this, and I think this could either be really bad or really good. This is like a lottery ticket. Like either Crawford's going to do something amazing, or it's going to go to script. This is
right, but here's the thing, right? You're taking Bud Crawford's resume and you're putting a microscope on it, and you're not doing. But you ain't doing the same with Canelo Alvarez.
Okay.
That's number one.
No. Listen. But Canelo stepped up to 175. He's already fought Bivol. And like Crawford's never fought anyone over 154. But Canelo, he got pieced up by Bivol, but he didn't get knocked out. It was a close fight. He lost it.
Okay.
It wasn't a close fight. Like I had it 9-3 to Bivol. Yeah, it wasn't a close fight, but it was a close fight from the fact that like Canelo stepped up to that level and fought that guy. But I don't think Crawford would have lasted against Bivol or Beterbiev, bro. He would have got smoked.
Right. He went up to 175 and called out the dude that had one belt that's supposed to the dude that had three belts, because we all know what would have happened if he fought Beterbiev. So that's number one. Right?
Yeah, but Beterbiev lost to Bivol in the rematch. So that's a null argument, bro. But
you're looking at that. Okay, so with all due respect, you're looking at this from a hindsight.
It's a null argument. And the first fight was close between Bivol and Beterbiev. That was a very close fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can't. So and Canelo, he did very well against Bivol for about 3 or 4 rounds. He did really well, but I don't think.
No, he didn't.
He didn't get ass whooped. He didn't get dropped. But he lost the fight. But he didn't get dropped. He didn't get dropped in the fight. He didn't get dropped, so.
We're going to have to wind it up. Okay.
Canelo's never been dropped.
Good conversation. We're going to have to wind it up. My wife.
I mean, you're making some good points, but some points I disagree with. I guess we can do this all day.
Yeah, 2:00 every day. Come back tomorrow, Libya, Africa.
Thanks, man.
Good stuff.
2:00 every
day.
Before.
I'm not even a Canelo fan, bro. I'm not even a fan of Canelo, bro. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just being honest, man. I can't see Crawford winning that. Once Canelo gets him cornered, he's gonna get pummeled, bro.
yeah. I think
Really bad.
Canelo's knock nobody out anymore, but you never know. Never know.
We'll see. We'll see.
I got
Because
Canelo though. Either way.
if people, because honestly speaking, bro, and this is I'm a Bud Crawford fan, and I can't stand Canelo, but
Yeah.
from an objective standpoint, if I were to take Canelo's resume with the microscope that you're putting on Bud Crawford's resume, I'm gonna have a field day, bro.
Yeah,
Well, can I get?
we got to do that.
Yeah, but
I got to get out of
yeah,
here.
it'll be a good fight.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, listen, if Crawford was so good, why has he been avoiding Erisandi Lara, 41-year-old guy at 160, bro? He was ready for the fight. You don't want that Lara smoke. Erisandi Lara would put Canelo on his back, bro. Not Canelo, Crawford. Erisandi Lara would put Crawford on his back, bro.
That would have been good.
Miss Avoid.
Then go to 168 too. You know.
Avoiding fighters is not something.
Yeah, but he's avoiding Boots as well, bro. But he's avoiding Boots, Pandora, Ortiz. It's like Bud Crawford had a WBO for years. He had the WBO because he's waiting on Spence. Yeah, but he waited on Spence. He waited on Spence for all these years, but he could have fought other guys. But he just kept on fighting. Nobody's like Amir Khans and Brooks that were washed up. Why didn't he start unifying titles? Listen, bro, that guy Crawford, I'm deadly serious, bro. He's gonna get hurt in that Canelo fight, bro. I think Canelo's gonna knock him out.
Define on it. Make your point. Then we're gonna get out of here after define on it.
Two things. I want to say two things. First of all, Bud Crawford is undisputed in two different weight classes. And the second thing that I wanted to say is avoiding fighters is not a line of argument that I would use in favor of Canelo. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
We will see, bro.
Come back.
Laters, my friends. Laters.
2 o'clock, okay?
Appreciate you all, bro. Love to you all, bro.
You
appreciate you guys.
Hey, Ann McQueen, it's a pleasure, brother. And
always.
I appreciate y'all, man. I see y'all tomorrow at 2. Everybody have a great afternoon. Great conversation. Appreciate Define Arnie, Aunt McQueen, Libya Africa on the panel. And we'll be back tomorrow at 2. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. I guess Just Do been on for about an hour and a half, and he might be getting ready to go off. Everybody have a great afternoon. Mm-hmm.